Welcome, Patriots, to another explosive edition of the Raw Feed. Yeah, you saw that thumbnail, so you know fireworks are going to fly tonight. I'm Gary Franchi. We're live right now, streaming to millions worldwide on YouTube, plus our freedom fighters on Rumble and X. And what sets us apart from every other show out there is simple. We don't just talk at you, we talk with you. Your reactions, your comments, your fury, and your insights, that's what drives the show. So fire up those keyboards, because we're about to dive into today's most explosive news. Now, before we unleash today's bombshells, grab your phone right now and text the stream to 5 Patriots. Bypass big text censorship right now. And for our ex-warriors, repost this show to your followers. We need every voice amplified because what you're about to hear will shake the foundations of everything you thought you knew. Speaking of shaking foundations, let me take you back to July 9th, 1850. On this day in history, President Zachary Taylor died under mysterious circumstances after consuming iced milk and cherries at a 4th of July celebration. The official cause? Cholera. But whispers of assassination by poison persisted for over a century. Sound familiar? Well, today, 175 years later, we're still asking the same questions about who's really running our government, who's being silenced, and what are they hiding from us? And just like Taylor's sudden demise sparking conspiracy theories that wouldn't die, today we've got Elon Musk claiming that he has seen the list. Yes, the most powerful list on the planet, the Epstein files that supposedly don't exist. We've also got weather weapons potentially killing Texans. We've got proof that Biden may have never actually been president. We've got your tax dollars funding violent revolutions, and we have Trump threatening to turn Moscow into a parking lot. If you want to support the show privately, you can hit those donation links in the description. Every dollar helps us stay independent and keep bringing you the unfiltered truth that the mainstream media will not touch. We will be reading your super chats and Rumble rants between every segment, and yes, even the ones coming in right now before we officially begin. Your message could be featured on screen for the world to see. Remember, this is your show as much as it is mine. Now, if you want to show off your favorite news source while supporting independent media, check out our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. We've got Alligator Alcatraz for those who remember when draining the swamp meant something, President Autopen for the constitutionalists, and for our American badasses. Yes, we have our American Badass series for patriots who refuse to apologize for loving their country. And for those ready to take their support to the next level, join our YouTube channel memberships. Each tier unlocks different perks, special acknowledgement in the chat room where you'll stand out from the crowd, exclusive access to the Next News team for inside scoops, behind-the-scenes uploads showing how we expose the establishment, and our members-only Discord operating 24/7. Did you guys see that, the thumbnails that didn't make the cut last night? Yeah, I sent them over to you guys. Well, that's right. It's a private chat where patriots gather around the clock to share intel and build community. Remember, we're live simultaneously on Rumble and X, and if you're not following us there, you are missing out. The censors can't stop us when we're everywhere at once, so make sure you're connected on all platforms, because when one goes down, we keep broadcasting. Now, today's show will leave you questioning everything. From Musk Epstein bombshell to weather warfare in Texas, from Biden's Autopen fraud to Trump's Moscow threats, from USAID's domestic terror plot to the bodies still missing in the floods. We're connecting the dots the establishment prays you will never see. Your government is lying to you. Your weather might be weaponized, and your president, well, the former president might just be a forgery. And of course, your tax dollars funding your own destruction. The only thing standing between you and total darkness is a show like this one, powered by patriots like you. So get ready, get angry, get informed. The Raw Feed starts now, and let's welcome you to the show. We got Peter Bardis in the house. We got Sabrina and T, Sure You Gospel, Terry Moore, Sig Hope, Podhead Kenny. The gang is filing in. Who else? Duty to Rebel. We got Karen and Adam. Todd is here. What's up, Todd? We got Collect Gems, OSRS. Who else is here? Jeff, Pure Blood Crusader. I love it. Kibbs Ellis. Who else is here? We've got Elon in a K-hole. What's a K-hole? I shouldn't have asked that question. I don't even want to know. Mrs. Pothead Kenny's here. Wonderful to see you. Jonathan Swaim. Who else is here? Alice Cersei, James Fay, Cindy Myers, Irony Rose, Alice New Journey, Scott Powell, the one and only Ron the Don, and I love that Pure Blood Crusade. 2 Mikey 22. Y-Rod. Who else is here? We've got Michael Brennan, Mr. Biscuit in the house. Stephen Ross, Seam Check, C. Gray, Avalex LLC in Michigan, flexing hard. Who else is here? If you want your name shout out, this is the time. Truthite, Loyalty to Truth, Handle 4, Debate is here. Frosty Goob. Frosty Goob. How'd you come up with that one? All right. Who else is here? Mike E. Madam CEO. Hey, everyone. And Angie M. is here. Troy. The gang's all here. So let's jump into our first trivia question of the evening, because this is hot news in our first segment. Who was the first official to resign over a scandal involving secret files? Was it A, John Mitchell, B, Spiro Agnew, C, Edwin Stanton, or D, Albert Fall? Secret files. Well, for some reason, Spiro Agnew just seems to be the guy to come to mind here. I could be wrong. I don't know, honestly. I'd like to use my lifeline if I could. You guys are my lifeline. So give us the answer in the chat room, in the poll, or in the comments below. You guys are saying Spiro Agnew at 59% as well. So we're going to find out after this segment. Now, I want you guys to make sure, I'm going to give you one last chance to share this right now. Text it, share it, repost it, copy the link, do whatever you got to do, send it out right now, okay? I'm going to wait. I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. They said the list didn't exist. They said it was all conspiracy theories. Brian? Need the counter? Take it from the top. All right, I just gave you guys some more time to share the link. Okay, good. They said the list didn't exist. They said it was all conspiracy theories. They said anyone asking questions was crazy. But now one of the world's richest men just pulled the pin on a grenade that could blow apart the entire political establishment. What started as a Twitter war between titans has morphed into something far more dangerous, an admission that changes everything. Now, the FBI denies it. The case is closed, but someone has seen what they claim doesn't exist. And that someone is now naming names that will make your blood run cold. The war for truth just went nuclear, and nobody is safe, so keep watching. Now, you probably think your 401k is safe, but it wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift retirement costs and risk onto you, leaving your savings exposed to crashes, inflation, and chaos. But Americans are waking up and taking control with real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands secure their future by converting part of their 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. It's safe, it's simple, and smart. Visit nextnewsgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit and discover how to safeguard your savings. That's nextnewsgold.com, your exit from the danger zone. And call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347. Tell Colin that Gary Franchi said hi. Would you do that for me? All right. Now, before I get into the mud, we need to talk about something crucial that everybody is missing in this Musk Epstein bombshell. Now, people are asking, how could Elon possibly have seen these files? The FBI says they don't exist. Here's what Elon Musk posted just 24 hours ago. Bannon is in the Epstein file. But if there are no Epstein files, what did he see? Like I said, the FBI says they don't exist. Kash Patel confirmed he never got anything from the FBI. So how does Musk know what he knows? Well, here's what nobody is connecting. DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Now think about it. Elon wasn't just given some advisory role. He was granted unprecedented access to examine every penny of government spending, every contract, every payment, every investigation funded with taxpayer dollars. No oversight from DOJ, no restrictions from the FBI, just blanket authority from President Trump to follow the money wherever it leads. And here's the kicker. Elon had top secret clearance, full stop. He could access classified materials that would land you or me in federal prison just for glimpsing. So when Elon says that Bannon is in the Epstein files, he's not bluffing. He didn't walk into FBI headquarters demanding the files. No, he did something far more clever. He traced the money. Every dollar spent on the Epstein investigation, every payment to contractors, every expense report, every classified budget item. Think about what that means. Flight logs? Okay. The FAA? Yes, those flights were coordinated using government resources that are traceable. Security details? Government funded, traceable. Investigation expenses? Every hotel room, every surveillance operation, every witness interview, all paid for with money that Elon had the authority to track. He followed the breadcrumbs. And at the end of the trail, he found what they said didn't exist, the smoking gun. Now, this is not speculation. This was his job. DOJ was specifically created to root out waste, fraud, and abuse in government spending. Well, what's more fraudulent than hiding the most explosive blackmail operation in history while claiming it doesn't exist? Elon didn't need the FBI's permission. He didn't need their cooperation. He had something more powerful: the constitutional authority to examine how every tax dollar was spent. And buried in those expenditures, in those classified budgets, in those payment authorizations, he found the truth. So when he tweets that Bannon is in the files, he's not guessing. He has seen the receipts, literally. The paper trail that proves not only that the list exists, but who paid to keep it hidden, how much it cost, and whose names they were protecting. This is the Hail Mary moment. The establishment never thought that someone from the outside their club, would get this level of access. They never imagined a billionaire with top secret clearance would use government efficiency as a weapon to expose their darkest secrets, but that's exactly what happened. And now they're scrambling because Elon has the one thing they cannot deny: the financial proof of their cover-up. So the smoking gun isn't just the list, it's the money they spent to hide it. And Elon has every single receipt. So he posts this: Bannon is in the Epstein files. Now, what does that exactly mean? It doesn't mean that Bannon was doing things with children. It doesn't mean he's guilty of anything. But Elon has made a declarative statement right here. Now, keep in mind that Elon Musk made the very same statement about Donald J. Trump. Now, he had since retracted that statement and apologized to the President of the United States. But I haven't seen a retraction from this one yet. But it has lit a fuse that is leading to a powder keg that is about to ignite. I mean, here's what Elon said just 5 days ago. See, sadly, I wasn't always paying attention. I don't always pay attention to the inner workings and drama that goes on between different egos and personalities. It's really not something that I do, but something at this level now has caught my attention, and I got to bring it to your attention. He said this 5 days ago. The fat drunken slob called Bannon will go back to prison, and this time for a long time. He has a lifetime of crime to pay for. I mean, think about that. That was 5 days ago. Here's Cat Turd, okay? Cat Turd, I love following this account. He said this 22 hours ago. Now, we reported on what Elon said about Bannon yesterday. But again, this is a developing story. The Elon, Bannon, Epstein file story is not over. Cat Turd says, I'm going to say it one more time. Elon Musk said Steve Bannon and Donald Trump are on the Epstein list. That means Elon Musk has seen the official Epstein list. Now, I explained to you just how he could have seen that list. Cat Turd goes on to say, he says he knows, so why won't Elon tell us who is on the Epstein list? Elon could clear this up right now. What is he waiting for? Well, maybe he's waiting for the right moment. When you have that level of hard evidence against top level elite, I don't think you just run around blasting every single name. It's almost like he's drip feeding it to us. Here he said this, Elon Musk 4 days ago, prison for Bannon. 23 hours ago, this was the original Cat Turd post. Elon Musk said Donald Trump and Steve Bannon are on the Epstein list. That means, according to him, he's seen the Epstein list. He just stated his new party is about to expose the Epstein list. He's admitting that he's seen it and knows who's on it. So why isn't he telling us who's on it? One more time, he's saying he knows who's on it. I'm all ears. Put up or shut up. The other day when I was talking about the America Party that Elon Musk had created, I said, oh, come on, Elon, you can't be serious. You're not going to go anywhere with this party. But then it dawned on me, he doesn't need to go anywhere with this party. He could just use the party as a hammer, as leverage against the Republicans, against the Democrats, against whoever he wants to try to pull votes away from, wherever he wants to get leverage into a specific bill passage or something done. Okay, guys, I'm going to shut down the America Party. Thank you. Thank you for playing. And thank you for passing that bill. You see how the game plays? See, I didn't think that big at first, but then it dawned on me. I said, this is all about leverage. MAGA Kitty. Now, did you hear about this? Linda Yaccarino, who is the head of, or was the head of X, the CEO, has resigned. Now, this was posted 6 hours ago. Here's Steve Bannon and Jack Posobiec talking about X. And no doubt Steve Bannon has heard what Elon has been posting about him. Listen.
And keep him under control. Blockbuster news coming in even as we speak. Linda Yaccarino steps down as CEO of Elon Musk Twitter or X. Hey, Linda, you can run, baby, but you can't hide. You're not going to hide from the lawsuits, girl. We know why you're stepping down and why you're running. Okay, we understand why you're stepping down and why you're running. That Elmo's out of control. Sorry, baby. That came with the job. You took the job. You took the pay. You took the warrants. You took the stock options. You took all, the hundreds of millions of dollars you're going to make. No. If you can't keep Elmo in the nursery and keep him under control, you're going to pay a price. You are going to pay a price. It doesn't matter that you're resigning today, baby. The whole scam over there, the whole complete scam of Elmo is going to be taken apart brick by brick. Okay, brick by brick, all of it. You will be stunned at what you will find out.
So you hear Bannon is clearly threatening Elon Musk. He's going to destroy Elon. He's saying right here, I'm going to destroy, or not maybe him, but that X is going to be destroyed. By who? I don't know, but that's the threat. I mean, the words going back and forth between Elon Musk and Steve Bannon, I really wasn't paying that close attention to until I saw him reply to Roger Stone yesterday. Ramesh says Elon Musk and Steve Bannon are in a public slap fight, trading threats of prison, deportation, and name-calling. It's billionaire versus the political strategist in a cage match of words, and we are all here for the memes. Yes, you got to love the memes. They do kind of add some levity to this. Gene Robinson writes, if Steve Bannon is in the Epstein X files and Elon Musk is the one saying it, yet the case was just declared closed with no further criminal activity acknowledged, then this isn't just bizarre. This is a cover-up unfolding in real time. Now, going back to the America First Party, 5 days ago, Real America's Voice, Steve Bannon's War Room. Steve Bannon weighing in on the America First Party. and trashing Elon Musk again. So keep in mind, this is 5 days ago. And then around the same time, we have Elon Musk calling him a fat slob, a liar, who's going to go to prison, all these things. Here. Where's the... I just had it. Here it is. No, that's not it. Here. Sorry. Here it is.
No, brother, you're the buffoon, Elmo the Mook, formerly known as Elon Musk, Elmo the Mook. He's today in another smear, and this only a foreigner could do this. Think about it. He's got up on Twitter right now a poll about starting an America party, a non-American starting an America party. No, brother, you're not an American. You're a South African.
Okay, that fact may be true, but I don't think there's anything wrong. If you are a citizen of this country, you have become a citizen of this country, I think you have the right to create a political party. I don't think that's a crime. Bannon, I think, has another idea here.
And if we take enough time and prove the facts of that, you should be deported because it's a crime of what you did, among many.
A crime? A crime starting a political party? I don't know. Never heard about that, but maybe there's something there.
But the audacity today with President Trump on a roll using democratic procedures, as messy as they are, and they're messy, and the compromises you have to make, because you have to make compromises, I know, which many in the audience here don't like, including myself, but hey, that's the way it is. Let's push forward what we got, and we'll get more later.
Now, of course, he's talking about the big, beautiful bill. Of course, Elon Musk had a huge problem with that. Real raw news. If Elon Musk claims people like Trump and Bannon are all over the Epstein files, he must show the proof. So far, he's shown nothing, engage only in innuendo and character assassination. If he's truly seen the Epstein files as proof, let's see it. Again, I explained just how he could have seen it or have taken possession of it through his Doge investigations. Follow the money. Now, Laura Loomer made this post here. So many people are so quick to abandon President Trump. It's sad to see. Once you understand how much gatekeeping happens around Trump, you understand he is not the problem. It's the gatekeepers. And it's hard to see unless you get to see it up close in person multiple times. So Laura Loomer makes this post. Adam Lowitz quote tweets her. He says, "Listen to Laura. This was exactly what my inside source leaked to me about the White House. The gatekeepers around Trump are the ones who are completely destroying his administration right now. They're also the ones that intentionally orchestrated a split between Trump and Elon. If you want to know why so few influencers are speaking out, it's because these gatekeepers control a lot more than you realize. No one wants to lose their access to the inner circle, which is why everyone is keeping their head down." So, do you hear what Adam is saying here? He's building upon what Laura Loomer revealed about the gatekeepers. Now, we know, we saw it in 2016. Trump was criticized for it over and over again about the people he surrounds him with. Who are these people? Can you name the people in Trump's inner circle? Most of us can only name cabinet members. But who are the advisors? Who are the people whispering in Trump's ear? I mean, sure, we have Susie Wiles, who's the chief of staff, right? But you know there are other people around. Honestly, I don't even personally know. I've been to the White House. I've covered the White House. I've been on foreign trips with the President of the United States. I can't name all these people. But Adam is building upon what Laura is saying. And think about it in the dynamic of what we're seeing now. Elon Musk and Steve Bannon are going to war against each other on a mission to destroy each other completely. Who is going to win? Who is in the inner circle? I mean, if there's anyone that was as close as Trump as you could be, it was Steve Bannon. He was right there next to him, 2016, helping run his campaign. Steve Bannon has a deep, ingrained pedigree with that man, with that president, with that campaign, with that administration. Elon, he only came around in this last election, and he came around hard, and he helped President Trump win. There's no question about it. He was one of the instrumental people to help Trump win. Of course, we were as well here at the Next News Network with our reporting. But we all play a role. So if there's anyone we can, at one point, say here, who are the people in the inner circle, Steve Bannon clearly is a member of that inner circle. Is he a member of that inner circle right now? I don't know. Does he still have Trump's ear? I'm sure if he picked up the phone and called, Donald Trump would answer. But right now, Steve Bannon is leveraging his media empire to do the work that needs to be done. And right now, some of that work is focused, laser focused on destroying Elon. And of course, Elon Musk is throwing it right back. And he's dropping the big bomb, declaring that Bannon is in the Epstein files, with no further context. But what Adam Lowitz is saying is that clearly there was a man. We remember we saw this. Do you remember this? We saw the media starting to parrot, trying to drive a wedge between Elon and Trump. We reported on it. It was clear as day. They were trying to fracture it back right early on, but we got ahead of it. And eventually, something happened. Something broke. Someone or something was successful in driving that wedge between Elon and Trump. And personally, we need to get these guys back at the same table. We need to get them working together. One of the richest men in the world and the most powerful man in the world, they need to bury this hatchet and come back together to save this country. And now Elon has America Party. He's got some serious leverage. Think about it. If Elon Musk decides he's going to start throwing millions upon millions upon millions of dollars into that America Party. Now, we laugh when CNN says it's only 4%, right? We laugh. We joke. Ha, 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 only 4%. You're not going to go anywhere with that party, Elon. Okay. But when Elon drops $30 million behind it and does a full court press campaign, and you see it on every billboard and every commercial, every radio, every social media ad, Elon Musk recruiting people from both sides of the aisle, suddenly there's leverage. And it could, in fact, grow into be a serious threat that Elon Musk could wield like a hammer. And think about 2026 midterms are around the corner. The Republicans cannot lose. If they lose the House, you could say goodbye to any America First agenda. You can guarantee impeachment proceedings and committee hearings. Every single member of Trump's administration going to get dragged in front of committee, dragged through the mud. All the cheerleading and celebration that we've had these last 6 months, gone. So Elon Musk building up this party, building up his leverage right ahead of the midterms is a serious threat. And the only way to neutralize that threat is to get these guys back to the table so we can win the midterms. But first you have to rout out the snakes who are creating the rift between Elon and Trump. And the only high-level people we can see, because Bannon has Trump's ear, Bannon clearly hates Elon Musk, doesn't trust him as far as he can throw him. I mean, here he is. Here's Steve Bannon, March of 2023. calling Elon Musk a total and complete phony. Now, of course, Bannon is free to say whatever he wants. If he has the receipts, bring them. But to what end does it serve?
Musk is a total on there. Oh yeah, no. He's owned by the Chinese Communist Party. What are you talking about? Tesla. His only thing of real value is Tesla. He uses it for margin loans. He sells the stock. The Shanghai joint venture is 100% controlled by the CCP. This is why he never goes after the CCP. This is why he always backs off. This is when they had the protest. They had the protest about the lockdowns of COVID. He will not do it. Elon Musk is a total and complete phony. He is in bed in a business partner. He's done some good stuff, letting stuff out, with Taibbi and others. It's fine. But he is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the Chinese Communist Party, and he acts like it.
There was a story recently that they warned him to stop talking about lab leak.
100%.
He's got, I think there was
They wanted him to take down the tweets he did the first time. Now, he didn't take them down, but you notice he didn't have any more up there after that.
And I wonder if he said, okay, I won't tweet more about it. But here's the issue I see with the CCP in the United States, and if the United States falters, if this fourth.
By the way, the CCP Chinese companies are all in the Silicon Valley Bank.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing they're already talking about. We think maybe up to a third of those innovative companies may be CCP on there. Oh yeah.
So you just saw that. That was posted on June 5th, just a month ago. Caroline Wren, Steve Bannon in March of 23. Here is Dominic Michael Trippi, 74,000 followers. Who's Caroline Wren? 35,000 followers. Okay, so Dominic says, Steve Bannon on Elon Musk, you're a war profiteer. You're not an American.
Elon Musk, once again, brother, I'm smart enough to tell you no to your face, and I'm evil enough to be able to expose you as a running dog for the greatest enemy this nation's ever had. You're a war profiteer. You're sleeping with the enemy, brother, and you've been doing it because you're not an American nationalist. You're not even an American. All you are is a globalist, okay? A globalist. Elon Musk.
Now, is Steve Bannon saying these things because he knows what Elon knows? What Elon just tweeted when he replied to Roger Stone? Why? I mean, of course, we do not want anything to do with the communist Chinese. Elon Musk says, prison for Bannon. Keep going here. Here, another one. June 5th. Bannon is peak retard. One day ago, is it me or does Elon Musk and Steve Bannon absolutely hate each other? Cat turd. 24 hours ago. Oh, yes, they hate each other. And why? Is it because Elon is in bed with the Chinese, or is it because Elon knows what's in the Epstein files? As we reported yesterday, Elon Musk claims Steve Bannon is in the Epstein files. Yesterday, the FBI denied the existence of such a list. Roger Stone was the original post that Elon replied to. Roger Stone said, why would Bannon meet with Jeffrey Epstein both at his New York home and in Paris after Epstein was convicted on sex crimes in Florida? Great question. Why would he coach Epstein for his 60 Minutes appearance? I would love to know. Maybe we can get Steve Bannon here and we can ask the question. I honestly want to know. I'm sure there's a great answer for that. But Elon Musk begs to differ, replying, because Bannon is in the Epstein files. Now, again, that doesn't mean that Bannon was doing anything with children. We do know that Bannon has an interview that he did with Epstein. I haven't seen it. Supposedly it was like 15 hours of video or something. I have not seen it. I think it would open up a lot of eyes. I know we've seen parts of it. I remember seeing the first time I saw like a few seconds of it, I was shocked because I'm like, what the hell is Bannon doing with Epstein, interviewing him? I want to see the whole thing. Keep going along here. Here we have more. Look at all this. This is June 6th is when Elon Musk went savage on Bannon. Bannon is criminal. Bannon is communist retard. Bannon is going back to prison, this time for a long time. In March 11th, 2023, he was replying to Matt Gaetz and Tim Cass. I used to think Bannon was smart and evil, but now I realize I was wrong about the first part. Blanche Victoria. Did Elon Musk have access to the files, if any? Billionaire techie turned political provocateur Elon Musk has launched another salvo at MAGA World by claiming former Trump advisor Steve Bannon is implicated in the Jeffrey Epstein files. Look at the right side of your screen at the bottom. This is another one from June 6th, the day after he went nuclear on Bannon. Bannon advocates crime because he is a criminal. Elon was replying to Shadow of Ezra. What's the original post? Shadow of Ezra writes, Bannon is telling President Trump to invoke the Defense Production Act and seize control of SpaceX from Elon Musk with the stroke of an executive order. The Defense Production Act is a powerful federal law that allows the U.S. government to take over private assets and industries deemed critical to national security, typically used during wars, disasters, or major crises. So Bannon telling Trump, so clearly Bannon still has Trump's ear, never thought he'd lost it. I mean, Bannon went to prison. Bannon's telling President Trump to invoke the Defense Production Act and seize control of SpaceX.
That President Trump should be taking immediately, I think, when he threatens to take one of the big programs out of SpaceX. President Trump tonight should sign an executive order calling for the Defense Production Act to be called in SpaceX and seize SpaceX tonight before midnight.
I mean, think about what Bannon just said there. He's talking about seizing Elon Musk's businesses, where he makes these amazing rockets that are caught by chopsticks. I mean, when you have the president's ear and you make advisory statements like that at this level, at this top of the game, oh man, there's no messing around. And it's no wonder that Elon Musk says Bannon advocates crime because he's a criminal. Okay, speaking of those 15 hours, Shadow of Ezra writes, in 2019, Steve Bannon recorded over 15 hours of interviews with Jeffrey Epstein. He was accused of media training Epstein for a 60 Minutes interview that never happened, but claimed he was filming an 8 to 10 hour documentary instead. The documentary never came out. Why? How come we've never seen it? That would probably be one of the most explosive interviews of our lifetime. Organized Chaos writes, Bannon is on the right side of this. Elon is always joined for selfish purposes. Anyone that can't see that is retarded. Baby Blue, both red and blue are blackened by Epstein. That is why both blue and red fight for its exposure so viciously. Do you understand the dynamic that's happening here? This is high-level political maneuvering. Elon makes the claim that Bannon's on the list. Bannon trying to tell Trump to seize his businesses, to seize Elon's businesses, revoke his citizenship. These are not small threats. Steve Bannon on Elon Musk.
The guy gets up and starts tweeting the most vicious stuff you could tweet. So all the fanboys defend this. He accused President Trump of basically being a group with those pedophiles on the island. He called for the president to be impeached and J.D. Vance to take his role. As hard as we've worked in all the years that we've worked and this audience has worked, some punk is going to sit there and go, he should be in back. The guy gets up and starts tweeting.
Is it just me? Or does Elon Musk and Steve Bannon absolutely hate each other? George Santos says, I hope Steve Bannon sues the shit out of Elon Musk for defamation. Elon Musk, Bannon is peak retard. Elon Musk, here he is on June 10th. Bannon is such a retarded liar, dumber than a doorstop. SpaceX revenue this year will be $15.5 billion, and NASA only has $1.1 billion. For the NASA revenue, SpaceX does all astronaut transport to the space station at roughly half the cost of Boeing, who thus far has failed to complete a single astronaut back and had to be rescued by SpaceX. It wasn't some gift. If Bannon's dumb as F reasoning made any sense, then anyone who bought products from any company would automatically own that company. Bannon is truly peak retard. Where does it end? I think we need to find out what's going on with the gatekeepers that Laura Loomer are talking about, the people driving the wedge between Trump and Musk. We need to get Trump and Musk back to the table. We need to find out what Elon has seen and how he saw it. I mean, he said with his America Party, he's going to reveal the Epstein files that the FBI said don't exist. Remember when Trump said this?
Fortunately, but a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger, too, because, you know, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But, yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
No problem
But
with
a lot
it.
of
President Trump said he had no problem with it, and suddenly there is no list. Liz Wheeler was speaking with Chris Cuomo. I still am shocked that Chris Cuomo is doing what he's doing these days. Liz Wheeler says Pam Bondi bragged about personally making the cover of the Epstein Files binders before handing them out to influencers. Wheeler was one of those influencers, and now she's furious.
The doubt. You give the benefit of... I was at the White House that day when Pam Bondi gave out those white binders. I was one of the ones who received that binder. So when you say before I'm invested in this, yeah, I am invested in this because what she did made me look like I was adding to some kind of clickbait weirdo influencer thing online, which I don't do. People that watch me know I'm very prudent. I don't engage in hot takes. And I gave her the benefit of the doubt. You give the benefit of the doubt to people on your own side. I thought, okay, I don't know why she gave us those binders if she didn't have good stuff in those binders, but she said there was another story. A whistleblower told her there were truckloads of documents. Hopefully she'll produce. And I gave her time. I was patient. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. But here's the thing, Chris. That day in the White House, Pam Bondi bragged about making that cover sheet on that binder that you're showing on the screen. That cover sheet that reads the most transparent administration in history. Epstein Files Phase 1. She told us she made that. She printed it. She put it in that binder. How can you square that behavior with what she posted on the Department of Justice website on Sunday saying, actually, there's nothing here? I was at the White House.
The cover of the binder said, Epstein Files Phase 1. Turns out there was no Phase 2. But maybe it's Elon Musk who has Phase 2. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Now, this matters because Elon is not bluffing. He has the receipts through Doge. He traced every dollar spent into the Epstein investigation. That's what I believe. Of course, remember, he had top secret clearance and unlimited authority to examine government spending. He found what they spent millions of dollars hiding. Flight logs paid with tax dollars, security details funded by government contracts, investigation expenses that led straight to the list. So when Musk says Bannon and Trump are in those files, he's not tweeting rumors. He's seeing the financial proof. That's what I believe. Now, the FBI can deny all they want, but they can't hide the money trail. So this isn't about who visited an island anymore. It's about a massive cover-up funded with your money. So here's my question. Now that we know how Elon got the files, is it time for phase 2 to release everything? Drop a yes or no in the comments. If you want to support our work here at the Next News Network, you want to trigger a liberal today, go to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, because when government efficiency becomes a weapon for truth, the deep state's days are numbered. All right. Probably going to get a few phone calls from that one. Oh, all right, guys. Wow, we got $49.99 in super chat revenue. must have really got some people fired up on that. Alice Cersei, thank you for the love of N3. $50 right there. I know I got a $50 bill somewhere here. This is all fake money, by the way. This is not real money. This is all money. Here, I'll do 20 and 10, and we'll add another 10, and now we'll just throw down 50 right there. Thank you, Alice, for that. At the end of the day, folks, what we got to do here is we have to get Trump and Musk back together. That's what we need to do. The most powerful man in the world with the smartest man in the world working together to save America. That's how we win. All this infighting, all this drama, all this mudslinging has to end, and the people that are influencing President Trump, the inner circle that insulate President Trump, need to be outed. That's the only way we are going to prevail with the America First agenda. We do not need Rasputins in our midst poisoning the well of this movement for their own personal gain. End of story. Let's go to our trivia answer. You guys said Spiro Agnew. B. It was actually Albert Fall. The first cabinet member convicted of a felony in the Teapot Dome scandal of the 1920s. The Teapot Dome scandal. What was that about? I don't know. I got to go back to history class and figure that out. But convicted of a felony. Cabinet member. 1920s. All right, let's keep going along here. We've got another... don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. This next topic is just as fire as the last one. Okay? We're going to be talking about the Autopen now. I know you guys want to hear the latest in this. Shoo, man, what happened today? What happened today speaks volumes. We got all the details. Before we get to that, our next question. Which president first used an Autopen machine to sign legislation in 1956? Was it A, Harry Truman, B, Dwight Eisenhower, C, John F. Kennedy, or D, Lyndon Johnson? Well, I think 1956. I'm going to go with Truman on that. 1956, I think it was Truman. Eisenhower, I believe, was later in the game. I think because he did the military-industrial complex speech, his farewell address. So I'm going with Harry Truman. You guys, you tell me. You guys are saying Eisenhower. We're going to find out after the segment. But this one is going to be spicy. So buckle up. For 4 years, Americans believed they were living under the Biden presidency. Executive orders flowed, pardons were granted, and wars funded. policies transformed the nation. But what if I told you there's evidence that Joe Biden may have signed only one document in his entire presidency? What if every major decision, every constitutional action, every presidential directive came not from an elected leader, but from a machine operated by shadow figures? The most devastating political scandal in American history is unfolding right now. We've been covering it here, and we have an update. And when you hear what Biden's own doctor did today under oath, you will understand why the entire house of cards is collapsing. Stay tuned. We have the receipts. Now remember, freedom is never more than one generation from extinction, and that is why the Tuttle twins created the most effective Liberty First content for kids. Their monthly magazine teaches children about economics, liberty, and responsibility through comics and activities and real-world lessons. While schools push socialist ideology and government dependence, Tuttle twins gives your kids the intellectual armor to think for themselves. They'll learn why free markets work, how government grows, and what real freedom means. Right now, subscribe a loved one as a gift for your granddaughter, your grandson, your niece, your nephew, for their birthday, for Christmas, for Easter, for whatever, for only $56 a year. That's nothing. Those $56 are seeds planted into their brain of freedom. $56 a year, TuttleTwins.com/next. We get it. My family loves it. I am a super fan of the Tuttle twins, and you will be too. So don't let your child be indoctrinated. Teach them to think. Protect their minds before it's too late. TuttleTwins.com/next. It is linked down below. Now, we've been covering the Autopen scandal for quite some time. Here's our exclusive angle inside the White House briefing room on May 22nd. But wait, this is all lead up, okay? Just bear with me on this. I got to get you caught up. I got to bring you up to speed. Because what just happened is game-changing. This was May 22nd. Peter Doocy of Fox News grilling the White House, asking Trump to declassify the smoking gun files.
The president can declassify anything that he wants. Has he looked to see if there are any records here that would contradict what we've been told about Joe Biden's decline?
He has not directed anyone, to my knowledge, to look into that, but surely I can ask him if he intends to. I think the president has spoken on this pretty extensively, and I have spoken about it extensively from this podium as well, how it was truly one of the worst political scandals this country has ever seen, that the previous administration covered up the decline in the former president's mental and physical ability. And it's now all coming out, but the American people knew the truth, and that's one of the many reasons why President Trump won the election on November 5th.
And President Trump says that he basically thinks unelected Biden staffers concealed his decline so that they could use the levers of power for their own personal gain.
Well, look, that's not just the president thinking that, Peter. There's a new book out. I don't know if any of you have heard about it. Again, a little bit too late, because the American people knew the truth on this from the very beginning. And there were reporters in this room, including some from your network, Peter, I'll give you a little bit of credit here, who have said that clearly Joe Biden's staffers were engaging in this cover-up. So this is common sense. This isn't the president making it up. These are facts that are now finally being revealed.
Right, and I'm not saying the president's making it up, but he specifically talks about the Autopen. He thinks that staffers were using this Autopen. Mm-hmm. Is there some kind of like a badge that you have to swipe to use an Autopen? Is there a record of that?
I can tell you here at this White House, the president signs any document that has legal implications. The president signs every executive order. He signs every proclamation. He signs pretty much every document that is needed for the president's signature, with the exception of maybe some letters to children. From what we have heard and seen, that was not the case in the previous administration, and the president is raising good questions that are worth looking into. Peter.
Good questions worth looking into. Here's more from Peter Doocy. June 24th. It's confirmed that those involved, this is Wall Street Apes writing this, it's confirmed those involved with the Biden Autopen scandal will meet in a closed-door meeting with Congress. The whole thing done in secret. Remember, Peter Doocy only found one signature may have actually been signed by Biden in 4 years. The FBI should have arrested them all. Watch this.
In fact, if you look, Peter Doocy here outside the West Wing of the White House, and there's rarely a good reason to bring a prop to a White House briefing. But this afternoon, after spending a couple hours going through justice.gov with a color printer, I had an idea. There is one that looks different. It looks authentic. In fact, if you look at the last name, it almost looks like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there.
Very interesting props if you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a closer look.
Joe Biden was the president. He signed so many different things. Why was the one thing he signed the day before he left so messy? Peter Doocy here outside the West Wing.
Because that's the one he actually touched. June 18th, Democrats are dead wrong. The Autopen cannot be used if the president does not direct it.
There's an OLC, a number
Here is
of your...
the Oversight Project and a committee hearing on the Hill. Mr. Theodore Wald speaking.
A number of your colleagues on the Democrat side have said, well, there's an OLC opinion here. We don't need to talk anymore. There's an OLC opinion. It says you can use the Autopen. The opening paragraph of that OLC opinion says you can use the Autopen, but only when the president directs that you do so under his decision-making power, right? It is very clear again and again that the president actually has to make the decision. That cannot be delegated to a staffer or an advisor. And there's no indication here that anyone other than staff were making these decisions.
Exactly, because Joe Biden was cognitively impaired. The entire world saw it. So how could he approve anything? We're not done. It gets deeper. Here we have July 2nd, breaking news, Autopen scandal. Unelected officials, Mike Donald and Steve Ricchetti, Bruce Reed, Anthony Bernal, First Lady Jill Biden, and Anthony Tomasini ran the country while the president was incapacitated. Pardons for Hunter Biden, Adam Schiff, and Anthony Fauci now all question. Here is Byron Donalds, Representative Byron Donalds on Fox Business.
We need to listen to what Axios reporter Alex Thompson had to say about the inner circle controlling Biden at the end of his term. Watch this.
The people that were in charge were Mike Donald, Steve Ricchetti, Bruce Reed, Anthony Bernal, the First Lady's chief of staff, the First Lady, and Annie Tomasini. Those were the people that saw him the most and that had the most control over what he was doing and his day-to-day.
Well, clearly, Congressman, he is naming names. And we have the Washington Post columnist, Sally Quinn, accusing former First Lady of elder abuse. What do you say to that, Congressman? Elder abuse.
It is elder abuse. It is. There's no doubt about that. And all of these officials that were in the Biden White House, as far as I'm concerned, they need to come in front of the Oversight Committee because questions need to be answered. Last thing I will say on this is, depending on when the president truly was not in control of his mental faculties, a lot of the stuff that he did as president, in my view, should be invalidated. And the reason why is because you can't use an Autopen to run the country. It has to be from the mental capabilities and the physical capabilities of the person elected to be commander-in-chief. And so if Joe Biden could not execute the duties of his office, then why are we living under a lot of the decisions that was made by the Biden White House? So there's a lot of investigations that need to occur on this matter. This is a major scandal, in my view, the biggest one in presidential history. We can now put Watergate to bed because the Autopen is now in front of us.
The Autopen is in front of us. Okay, Joe Biden's doctor. Wait till you see what he did today. But first, here is the White House staffer who was really, the Kyle Becker writes, here is the White House staffer who was really running the Biden presidency via Autopen. Neera Tanden. Nobody elected her. Most people don't even know her name. America is screwed if there's no accountability. This is one of the biggest scandals in U.S. history. Now watch how she answers this question. Ha! See you walk away? Watch this.
A brief comment. Thank you. I just spoke with the House Oversight Committee, Majority and Minority Counsel. I answered every question, was pleased to discuss my public service, and I
was pleased to discuss my public service.
It was a thorough process, and I'm glad I answered every question.
Was there an effort to disguise President Biden's condition?
Absolutely not.
And that's the end of that. Was there an effort, the reporter says, an effort to disguise President Biden's condition?
Service, and it was a thorough process, and I'm glad I answered every question.
Was there an effort to disguise President Biden's condition?
Absolutely not.
I love it. I love it. They implicate themselves. Now, here's what happened today. Check this out. This Real Robert posted this 7 hours ago. This is Kevin O'Connor, Joe Biden's White House doctor. He has pleaded the fifth and refused to testify in a closed-door House hearing. Joe Biden's doctor just pled the fifth. Do you understand what that means? He's facing charges of perjury in violation of federal statute 18 U.S.C. 1621, tampering with evidence for altering, destroying, concealing, or falsifying evidence in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1519, racketeering in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1961, 1968, conspiracy to defraud the United States government in violation of 18 U.S.C. 371. This is him.
Are you Dr. O'Connor? I don't know.
New York Post. Biden's doctor gives interview to Post after wandering past White House briefing room.
Are you Dr. O'Connor? I don't know. How's the president's health?
It's excellent.
It is? Are you going to come to the briefing room to address us? Probably not. Could that change before the end of his term? And how is his mental cognition?
It's excellent.
It's excellent. Is there a reason you didn't perform a cognitive test on him?
I don't need to. He's here every day.
He's good every day? And what about the speculation about Parkinson's disease or a related condition? Dr. O'Connor, is there anything to that speculation that there might be something related to Parkinson's that he has?
Yeah, he's good.
Okay. And the specialist's visit to the White House, did that have anything to do with that concern?
No, he's seen him 3 times. Yeah, my letter was clear.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so this video clearly taken during the Biden administration. I know that walkway, that pathway all too well. I've walked it up and down, past those white barriers there. Now, what's interesting is it looks like he may have exited. There's a door on the other side from the that goes out of the White House, on the other side of that little white area there. That on the other side of that white door, the white wall, there's a Secret Service booth, and there's doors that go to they call them the palm doors, and those palm doors take you out to the South Lawn, where Marine One takes off. And President Trump often, or whoever the president is, departs the White House from that area on occasion. Now, the palm doors you can also access internally the White House through that area. Now, if we go back to the beginning of this video, look at the direction he's walking. Okay, I'm going to mute the video. Look at the direction he's walking. He's in an exit pathway out, and look at all the people out there. Okay. Now, right there, boom. Okay, I want to show you something here. I'm going to put it in slow motion because this is important. I'm going to put it in super slow. Right on the other side of that fence, look at all those people. That is a massive amount of press. He's looking at that group and going, my God, how am I going to get through this? I've just been identified, and I'm getting hammered about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. Now, keep in mind, this is during the Biden administration. I'm going to get to what happened today when he pled the fifth. But he's panicking now. He's seeing that huge group of people. He's got to navigate through that mess just to get out of the White House. And what does he do? He sees it. I mean, that's a lot of people. And that's a busy, busy day. I can feel it because I've been on those grounds on days like that. Now, I'm not sure exactly what the date was of this, but it's clearly when, after the fact, after the questions were raised about Biden's cognitive health, questions were raised about the president's physical, whether cognitive tests. You heard the reporter asking the questions. And he's handling it pretty well. He's reverting directly to the talking points that he knows he has to hit. He's looking, he's observing, he's reviewing, he's going, I am not walking through that mess, because on the other side of all those people, even more reporters. And he's just been identified by one. The minute, so what happens when you're on the ground at the White House? Because we sit there and we wait, like we're animals waiting to pounce on our prey. We wait for a member of the administration to come out so we can lunge and ask the questions. Now, of course, I'm there, and I do support our president. I support the MAGA America First agenda. So I'm not going to necessarily be pouncing on these members of the administration. But you get what I'm saying, right? He sees all those people. He knows he's walking into a potential den of reporters that are about to pounce. And he's like, no way, I'm not walking that direction. What does he do? He turns around, walks the other direction. The reporter continues to badger him. Amazing to see this footage, especially for the context of where I've been, what I've seen, what I've participated in. So what happened? What happened today? Biden doctor, Give Me Liberty, posted this 5 hours ago. Biden doctor Kevin O'Connor's response during House deposition adds more fuel to the fire of cover-up, pleading the fifth might be compelled to testify or negotiate an immunity deal. A good omen for invalidation and rollback of Autopen's action. Think about that. First of all, he pled the fifth. He doesn't want to say anything that could incriminate him. So what is he a part of? He's part of the biggest cover-up in American history. The cognitive decline of a president. Staffers taking over the Autopen and just firing off executive order after executive order after executive order, destroying this country. Probably at the direction of Barack Obama down the street. And others. He might be compelled to testify or negotiate an immunity deal. Here we have Representative James Comer says Democrats and the media know there was a cover-up when it comes to Biden's cognitive decline. We're bringing people in, and the media is not saying a word. The Democrats aren't saying a word. They know there was a cover-up, and the media knows it. Of course, the media was in on it. And now they're writing books pretending that nothing happened. Okay, so I have this. I want to present this. Schertler cited both O'Connor's responsibilities to protect patient privacy as a doctor and the Justice Department's ongoing investigation into the Biden's use of the Autopen. Oversight Dems, page 152, PM 70925. See who didn't appear at all when subpoenaed. Biden's former doc refuses to answer questions in House Republican probe. President Joe Biden's former White House physician refused on Wednesday to answer questions as part of a House Republican investigation into Biden's health and office. He invoked his rights under the Fifth Amendment during a closed-door interview with the House Oversight Committee, his attorneys and lawmakers said. Republicans on the Oversight Committee subpoenaed O'Connor last month as part of a sweeping investigation into Biden's health and mental fitness as president that claims some policies carried out during Biden's term through the use of the White House Autopen may be illegitimate if it's proven the Democrat was mentally incapacitated for some of his term. So Joe Biden's freaking doctor pleading the fifth. He won't even go. He won't even speak because he knows he would get screwed if he opened his mouth. He knows the entire house of cards would collapse. Do you understand the implications here? Biden has strongly denied that he was not in the right state of mind at any point while in office, calling the claims ridiculous and false. David Schertler, one of O'Connor's lawyers, said the doctor had no choice but to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights in testimony before the committee, citing both O'Connor's responsibilities to protect patient privacy as a doctor and the Justice Department's ongoing investigation into Biden's use of an Autopen. James Comer of Kentucky said O'Connor's refusal to testify made it clear there was a conspiracy. End of story. Right there. Boom. The American people demand transparency, but O'Connor would rather conceal the truth, Comer said in an official statement. Witnesses routinely invoke their Fifth Amendment rights in testimony to Congress. Allies of President Trump, for example, invoke their rights when refusing to testify at the committees that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Of course, they bring up, this is AOL, an article from AOL. They got to bring up January 6th, of course. Comer has sought testimony from nearly a dozen former Biden aides as he conducts his investigation, including former White House Chiefs of Staff Ron Klain, Jeff Zients, former senior advisors Mike Donilon and Nina Dunn, former Deputy Chief of Staff Bruce Reed, former counselor of the President Steve Ricchetti, former Deputy Chief of Staff Ann Tomasini, and a former assistant to the President Ashley Williams. He's also issued a subpoena for Anthony Bernal, the former Chief of Staff to former First Lady Jill Biden. Trump's White House has waived executive privilege, a right that protects many communications between the president and staff from Congress and the courts for almost all their senior staffers. All of those senior staffers. So every Biden senior staffer I just mentioned, President Trump's White House said, guess what? You don't have executive privilege here. Revoking their executive privilege. So that's often a line of defense. I have executive privilege. I don't have to testify or whatever. Trump just nuked it. Nuked them all. Trump's White House has waived executive privilege as a right that protects many communications between the president and staff from Congress and the courts for almost all of those senior staffers. That clears the way for those staffers to discuss their conversations with Biden while he was president. Representative Robert Garcia of California, top Democrat on the oversight panel, dismissed the Republicans' investigation as a waste of time. Of course he would. Oversight Republicans could be working to lower costs for American families and conducting oversight of Trump's corruption, but instead are obsessed with the past. Okay, I guess maybe they forgot about the big, beautiful bill that just passed. I think they don't need to work to lower costs anymore because how much money is going to come from that big, beautiful bill? How much? Yeah, so Representative Robert Garcia can go pound sand. Instead, we're obsessed with the past. No, we're obsessed with outing the corruption within the Biden administration. Let's be very clear. If that Autopen was in fact used, as we have shown in countless reports here, I mean, even President Trump has pointed out that you can look at these documents and you can see the anchor point from which the Autopen has to anchor to the paper so that the pen can do its job. President Trump has brought that up. So you can go back to every single executive order, pull the paper, and find out every single executive order. Peter Doocy, he went through document after document at justice.gov, and what did he find? He could only find one document that appeared to have been actually signed by Joe Biden. That's how deep this goes. Real Robert, June 23rd, and this, one of the greatest criminal conspiracies ever perpetuated against the American people. They started using the Autopen on day 5 of Biden's installation into the White House, and by June 2021, its use had skyrocketed. In other words, an effing vegetable so incapacitated they had to automate the presidency while pretending everything was normal. This was not political theater. It was a coordinated deception, a criminal conspiracy carried out by an unelected handler in the government, Congress, and the intelligence community. Let's go to this clip from the committee hearing.
Throughout, when the president signs, he communicates his assent and endorsement of the action he takes. The Autopen.
Again, this is Mr. Thomas Wold from the Autopen hearing.
And is a device that signs the president's signature to a document. The oversight. When the president signs, he communicates his assent and endorsement of the action he takes. The Autopen is a device that signs the president's signature to a document. The oversight project, of which I am a board member, has discovered that the Biden White House deployed an Autopen to affix President Biden's signature to pardons, prison commutations, executive orders, and presidential proclamations. The Oversight Project's research has found that the Biden White House first deployed the Autopen to affix President Biden's signature to a proclamation on day 5 of his administration, and that there were at least 3 different Autopen signatures in use throughout President Biden's tenure in the White House. In June 2022, the Biden White House began deploying the Autopen to sign clemency warrants and executive orders. Autopen use skyrocketed from there. We found that of the 51 clemency warrants issued during the Biden presidency, over half, 32 in total, were signed with an Autopen. And these include some of the most controversial acts of clemency of the Biden presidency, including death row commutations and the preemptive pardons of members of the Biden family, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and more that were issued in the final days of the Biden presidency. We reviewed President Biden's schedule in his publicly available media and were unable to find any record of President Biden's personally approving these actions, such as a statement issued by the president himself to reporters. When the president signs...
Do you see what's going on here? Day 5 is when it all began. Now check this out. This was the day before the Fifth Amendment was invoked by Joe Biden's doctor. Jim Jordan speaking to Fox Business, Varney and Company.
I do think the House Judiciary Committee Chair and member of the Oversight Committee, Jim Jordan, joins me now. Good to see you, Congressman. So what specifically, what's the one question you would ask Dr. O'Connor above all others?
Well, I'm not sure he's going to, as I should point out, I'm not sure he's going to show up. And I think if he does, he's probably going to still try to assert some kind of privilege. I think the fundamental question is, doctor, what was really going on? We all saw it. The American people saw it. We know what we saw. I mean, everyone understands, even the left that defended him forever now understands that, he wasn't up to, that President Biden wasn't up to the task. I mean, Jake Tapper, who yelled at people who, if they come on in his show and said something, now has written a book, made money telling us he was fine. Now he's making money telling us he wasn't fine, for goodness sake. So everyone understands what went on. I do think, though, short of a whistleblower coming forward, it's going to be hard to prove the whole Autopen thing, because I think everyone's going to assert that, the chief of staff said he talked to the president, and then the chief of staff communicated to so-and-so, and then we signed the documents. Unless you have a whistleblower, I think it's going to be tough to prove that, but we'll see what happens. We won't know until he gets here tomorrow what he's going to do, as Aisha pointed out.
And what did he do? He pled the Fifth. He pled the freaking Fifth. Can't make this up, folks. Here is James Comer, June 29th.
Media would attack. I'll tell you, this is totally different than what I faced with the Biden influence peddling investigation. Every time we would bring someone in for a deposition, anytime new evidence would surface in the form of bank records, Democrat politicians like Jamie Raskin and Dan Goldman would go on TV and say there was no evidence. I was misrepresenting what those bank statements and those foreign wires really meant. Then the left-wing media would attack me. No evidence. Their deposition was a bomb. Now we're bringing people in, and the media is not saying a word, and the Democrats aren't saying a word. We had that.
They're not saying a word. Have you heard any mainstream sources report on Joe Biden's doctor pleading the Fifth? I think that's kind of a big deal.
That transcribed interview, 4 hours of Nira, and they didn't say an absolute word. They only asked questions for about 5 minutes. They know there was a cover-up. The media knows it. The Tapper book went into great...
Now, did you hear what he mentioned right there? 5 hours of deposition, Nira Tanden. That was the woman who I showed you the clip of earlier, who answered one question and then darted away. I'm gonna go back.
that transcribed interview, 4 hours of Nira, and they didn't say an absolute word. They only asked questions for about 5 minutes. They know there was a cover-up. The media knows it. The Tapper book went into great detail about the cover-up, and I think they know this book by Jean-Pierre could even be more explosive than the Tapper book because it reportedly names names, whereas Tapper's book had unnamed sources. So we're going to bring all these people in, and we're going to do the American people a great service. We're going to find out who was actually calling the shots in the White House, because I think we all know that Joe Biden wasn't the one that was making the decisions. And we also want to know about the Autopen. Who was given the authority to use the Autopen? Did Joe Biden know what his name was being signed to? So we've got a lot of work to do, but so far we're not facing much. I'll tell you, this is totally...
Well, they're now facing opposition by him pleading the fifth, the doctor pleading the fifth. I want to go back to this Jim Jordan clip because there was something he said at the end.
Specifically, what's the...
Made money telling us he was fine. Now he's making money. I do think, though, short of a whistleblower coming forward, it's going to be hard to prove the whole Autopen thing.
Okay, short of a whistleblower, it's going to be hard to prove. That's what he's saying. Now keep listening.
Because I think everyone's going to assert that, the chief of staff said he talked to the president, and then the chief of staff communicated to so-and-so.
Okay, chief of staff said yes, and then communicated to the... How are they communicating? Is it all verbal? Is there a paper trail? As Peter Ducey pointed out in the very first clip we played, is there a card you have to swipe to have authorization to use the Autopen? What's the chain of command here? You can't just pull out a freaking Autopen machine and exert the president's executive authority on paper. Is it that easy? Is it that easy to just pick up an Autopen machine, stick a piece of paper in, and just type something up, and then say press a button, and then Joe Biden's signature just shows up? I mean, if it's that easy, then we got a serious freaking problem in this country. I mean, that machine is as good as gold with the power that it possesses. It possesses all the power of the presidency in one little machine. So where is that chain of command? Where is that chain of custody? Where is that chain of communications authorizing its use? He says a whistleblower needs to come forward. Comey says that Karine Jean-Pierre's book is going to name names. Jake Tapper's book only names unnamed sources. Well, Karine Jean-Pierre, she had to play a part in this cover-up too. So she's going to get ready to throw everybody under the bus because she doesn't want to get hung out to dry. So she's getting in front of this thing already with her book. And if she names names, because the book hasn't come out yet, but if she actually names the names, now you've got another paper trail to follow.
We signed the documents. Unless you have a whistleblower, I think it's going to be tough to prove that. But we'll see what happens. We won't know until he gets here tomorrow.
Yeah, well, like I said, what did he do? The guy pled the fifth. So we've got some serious stuff going on here. This was when the doctor was subpoenaed. If O'Connor ignores the subpoena, he's looking at prison time. Well, it looks like he didn't ignore it. He showed up and pled the fifth.
Klein. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer has subpoenaed former President Biden's personal physician. Dr. Kevin O'Connor refused to appear for a voluntary interview, and the Republicans want him to answer questions as part of the investigation into Biden's physical and mental condition while in office, and also this alleged cover-up of his decline. Congressman Jim Jordan explaining why they're pressing for answers from Biden's inner circle.
There was serious talk about the 25th Amendment. There were actions taken that Joe Biden didn't know what was going on, and people went ahead and did things and made decisions. I think we're going to need a whistleblower, but you can't get that until you start this ball rolling and start the investigation that Pam Bondi is going to do and that Chairman Comer and the Oversight Committee have undertaken as well.
Well, let's hope that Pam Bondi doesn't screw this thing up like she did the Epstein files. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So let's take a step back. Because this is not just about signatures. It's about the legitimacy of every law, every pardon, every executive action taken in Joe Biden's name. When Dr. Kevin O'Connor pleads the fifth rather than confirm Biden's mental capacity, he is not protecting patient privacy. He is protecting conspirators from prosecution. Think about it. Hunter's pardon, Fauci's pardon, Schiff's pardon, all potentially invalid. 4 years of policy made by unelected staffers while America sleepwalked through a puppet presidency. Neera Tanden and her cabal ran your country with a rubber stamp while the real president couldn't find his way off a stage. Yes, this is bigger than Watergate, bigger than any scandal in our history. So here's my question. Should every Biden-era executive order be immediately reversed? Yes or no? Drop your comments below. And Patriots, you can gear up with our exclusive merch. We even have a President Autopen t-shirt. Yes, we do. Shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Just go check it out. I think you're really going to like it. You can see the little picture of it up there on the screen. That doesn't do it justice. Go there, trigger a liberal, wear it with pride, because when the government's fake, at least your shirt is real. Okay, we got a super chat that has just come through. Curio23. What does a nut say when it sneezes? Cashew. Man, Curio, you dropping them dad jokes all day long. And Tom B420. Thanks, Gary and gang. N3 for life. Salt is flowing. 20 spot right there in the Alex Jones was right jar. Okay, let's see where you guys were. The answer for our trivia question, Dwight Eisenhower was the answer. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. Dwight Eisenhower first authorized Autopen use while recovering from his heart attack. Yeah. Okay. Where do we go from here? Well, it's scandal after scandal in Washington, D.C., and there's never a shortage of them. Never a shortage of them. And USAID is back. And we have some very damning information. But first we get to the trivia question. Which U.S. agency was caught funding coups in Guatemala and Iran in the 1950s? Well, was it the FBI, A? Was it B, the NSA, C, the CIA, or D, the State Department? Well, if it was the 1950s, I'm going to have to go with the CIA. Yeah, I think they were just getting their feet wet after World War II, having a little fun, overthrowing governments. 1950s CIA sounds about right. That's just an educated guess. What's yours? Answer in the poll in the comments or the chat. All right, we got some news to break for you. What if I told you there's a government agency spending your tax dollars to overthrow governments, including potentially our own? Not in some distant dictatorship, but right here in America. $250 million funneled to one man's network. Riots organized with humanitarian funds. Congressional oversight blocked because, quote, people will die.
You said people gonna die?
If anyone finds out, what happens next? Even the CIA was locked out of the investigation. Now, this is not a spy novel. This is actually happening right now with your money. And when you hear what former officials are openly threatening to do to our republic, you will understand why they got shut down. The truth is finally emerging. So keep watching. And as we age, our body's collagen production declines, leading to visible signs of aging like wrinkles and sagging skin, crow's feet, and smile lines. By our 40s, collagen levels drop significantly and continue declining about 1% yearly. And that's why I use Ageless Multi-Collagen, 5 key collagen types from 4 premium sources, hydrolyzed for easy absorption, no clumping, no odor, just smooth blending into your morning routine. 0 GMOs, that's why RFK Jr. loves it. No artificial ingredients, no gluten, no antibiotics, no hormones, just clean collagen support. So visit healthwithgary.com for 51% off, free shipping, 60-day money-back guarantee, and lifetime health coaching. Plus, every order feeds hungry children. That's healthwithgary.com. You'll find it linked down below. So what is the big news today? Oh, USAID is back in the news. What happened? We haven't heard much about them lately. Well, guess what? USAID, Amuse posted this 7 hours ago. If you need any more proof that Elon and Trump were right to dismantle USAID, again, this is why we need to get Trump and Elon back at the table working together. If you need any more proof that Elon and Trump were right to dismantle USAID, look no further. Former USAID officials are plotting to overthrow the democratically elected government here in the United States, and they admit it openly. They write, "We unleashed these madmen on the world, and now they've come home to destroy us." He posts this. USAID officials who undermine democracies across the globe admit they're targeting democracy here in America. Former USAID officials are actively organizing a color revolution to overthrow President Trump and his administration in retaliation for his decision to shut down their agency. The former officials explain they are reapplying the skills and knowledge they built up over decades to undermine the democratically elected government here in America. They point out that it was foolish for Trump to release thousands of insurgents trained in color revolutions into the general population. Trump fired them. Now they're plotting to stop him. Yeah. Let's keep digging deeper. Mike Benz, June 12th. I'll say this again. USAID explicitly organized riots, then blocked even the CIA's top analysts from Congress from asking questions because people will die if anyone finds out.
You said people gonna die?
Yeah, Jar Jar. Here's President Trump. This was posted 6 hours ago, talking about USAID. By Rapid Response 47, the official White House media response channel.
Closed, and trade seems to be a foundation that I've been able to settle a lot of these disputes, like as an example, India and Pakistan, Kosovo, Serbia. I said, you guys are going to fight, we're not going to trade. And we seem to be quite successful in doing that. To that end, we have closed the USAID group to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, which was tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. And we're working tirelessly to forge new economic opportunities involving both the United States and many African nations. There's great economic potential in Africa, like few other places in many ways. In the long run, this will be far more effective and sustainable and beneficial than anything else that we can be doing together.
We have closed USAID to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. But now they are coming back. Here is Senator Eric Schmitt. So going back to the Muse post, he was quote tweeting Senator Eric Schmitt. He's quoting Senator Eric Schmitt. Senator Eric Schmitt, official count of United States Senator Eric Schmitt of Missouri. Quote, if you stop letting us run America, we'll start a color revolution and overthrow your democratically elected government. These people are making the case for their own firing better than we ever could. Posted July 7th, 2025. Trump fired them. Now they're plotting to stop him. Former USAID and State Department officials worried about the future of democracy in America say they're actively organizing to resist Trump inside and outside the government. Now, this is going to be hard for you to read along, so I will read it to you. These are the images that he attached to his post. Some of the democracy-building experts President Trump fired this year from the U.S. Agency for International Development and State Department are now reapplying the skills and knowledge they built over decades to undermine Trump's power. For years, these officials were stationed across the globe, actively supporting opposition movements in autocratic nations. Now they've got time, a network of former colleagues, and a growing sense of moral indignation. Think about that. All these people just got fired. They're pissed. They know how to overthrow governments. And what better use of their time, because they got a lot of free time now, than a revenge mission against President Trump for firing them. It's like a shadow CIA. Quote, take it from those of us who worked in authoritarian countries. We've become one, said a currently employed federal official who spoke to Notice on a condition of anonymity. They were so quick to disband AID, the group that supposedly instigates color revolutions, but they've done a very foolish thing. You've just released a bunch of well-trained individuals into your population. If you kept our offices going and had us play solitaire in the office, it might have been safer to keep your regime. Do you see what this is? This is a current employed federal official. I mean, listen to what he says. Trump and Elon did a foolish thing. You released a bunch of well-trained individuals into your population. If you kept our offices going and had us play solitaire, you might be able to keep your regime. Listen to that threat. The former official tells Nuttis they're holding workshops on a tactic called non-cooperation. They're building a network of government workers willing to engage in even minor acts of rebellion in the office, and they're planting the seeds of what they hope will become a nationwide general strike. Now, we saw this before in the first Trump administration. Members of the bureaucracy, slow-walking policy, taking time to execute the president's vision. But this is something much, much, much worse. You have fired federal employees from USAID. They have a chip on their shoulder, and they've got an axe to grind, and they're well educated on how to overthrow governments. And they're going to turn that education and that action right back on the very government that they used to work for and the administration that fired them. The former officials tell Notice they're holding workshops on a tactic called non-cooperation, and they're building a network of workers willing to engage in minor acts of rebellion. See, these all, imagine, if you have one person doing a minor act of rebellion is one thing. But when you have a coordinated effort of hundreds, if not thousands, it could create severe bottlenecks for the America First policy to proceed. Some of the informal network of Trump opponents are sharing an old CIA pamphlet with the allies who still work with the government it's called simple sabotage. So did you hear what I said from this article? They are using CIA, I just said it. It's like a CIA shadow government, shadow actions. But they're actually, yes, right here. I didn't read this yet. They're using an old CIA pamphlet. They're using CIA tactics. Widespread practice of simple sabotage will harass and demoralize enemy administration and police it says, the saboteur may have to reverse his thinking. Where he formerly thought of keeping his tools sharp, he should now let them grow dull. Surfaces that formerly were lubricated now should be sanded. Normally diligent, he should now be lazy and careless. That is what Senator Eric Schmitt just posted, and Amuse amplified it, and it landed on my desk, and now you're learning about this. What about George Soros? Where's he been? Where's all his money? What about all those riots that just erupted all across the country? How much of Soros' money was behind that? On June 11th, this was posted, George Soros received $260 million from USAID, the number one sponsor of terror on the planet. That's what Real Robert calls them. And used the funds to spread chaos, incite riots, promote open borders, topple governments, promote terrorism, and destroy justice systems around the world, including here in the United States, all while profiting without spending a single penny of his own. All uncovered by Elon Musk.
Hungarian Donald Trump claims Hungarian-American billionaire George Soros is responsible for interfering in the political landscape of many countries. The account claims that Soros used a hefty $260 million from USAID to spread chaos, change governments, and pursue personal gain in countries such as India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Ukraine. Now, this comes as the Trump administration continues to freeze USAID's budget, describing its initiatives as misaligned with American interests and accusing them of destabilizing global peace.
Well, many ideas, but look, he's done a great job. Look at all the fraud that he's found in this USAID. It's a disaster what the people, radical left lunatics, they have things that nobody would have even believed. The whole thing with $100 million spent on you know what, with money going to all sorts of groups that shouldn't deserve to get any money, with the money. I'd like to see what the kickbacks are.
Donald Trump claims Hungary.
Now let's go to Mike Benz. I love this guy. He's always uncovering deep connections. Here he is, June 12th. I'll say it again. He says, USAID explicitly organized riots, then blocked even the CIA's top analysts and Congress from asking questions because people will die if anyone finds out.
People gonna die?
U.S. secretly created Cuban Twitter to stir unrest.
Hoping it could use to organize smart mobs. Yeah. These are literal mobs, BLM style mobs. Now, I'm just going to read this here for a second. McSpeeden was one of the guys running this. He worked for USAID's Office of Transition Initiatives.
Okay, so we're going to continue this. It's only about a minute long. But what I'm trying to show you here, I'm painting a picture of what these people are capable of, what they have done, and now what they're doing by turning their target on the United States of America and the Trump administration.
U.S. secretly created Cuban Twitter to stir unrest.
Hoping it could use to organize smart mobs. Yeah. These are literal mobs, BLM style mobs. Now, I'm just going to read this here for a second. McSpeeden was one of the guys running this. He worked for USAID's Office of Transition Initiatives. Now, transition means government overthrow.
You got to watch that word these days, transition. Yeah, it means a few things.
In 2009, a report by congressional researchers warned that the Office of Transition, and again, this is not a CIA division. This is a USAID division for regime change, for toppling governments. Through organized political warfare, mobilizing the unions to take to the streets, mobilizing boycotts and shutdown of roads and transportation systems and hospitals and schools. And then it goes on to say, okay, we were told we couldn't even be told in broad terms what was happening at USAID because people will die, said Fulton Armstrong, who worked for the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Before that, he was the U.S. intelligence community's most senior analyst on Latin America, advisor for Bill Clinton. So he was the top guy at CIA at the analyst division on all of Latin America, and even he can't get access to this secret operation being run out of USAID.
U.S. secretly created.
Let's keep going. Mike Benz, how USAID organizes riots with humanitarian relief funds and then lies to Congress about it, then blocks Congress from asking questions because people will die if Congress finds out.
I had done it, he would have had to have signed off on it. But if they run it through USAID, then they can say, oh, it went rogue.
But what if, hold on a second, if a CIA person doesn't even like walk into the USAID office, but there's a phone call that's made there or anything or an email or something, isn't that technically traceable back to them? And therefore it's like, well, this does fall under your purview?
Well, only if it's subpoenaed.
Right.
And this is another issue. You can't get anything out of USAID. In fact, I wonder if they say this in this article.
U.S. secretly created Cuban Twitter to stir unrest.
Hoping it's happening at USAID because people will die, said Fulton Armstrong, who worked for the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Before that, he was the U.S. intelligence community's most senior analyst on Latin America, advised for Bill Clinton. So he was the top guy at CIA at the analyst division on all of Latin America. And even he can't get access to this secret operation being run out of USAID. And again, the whole thing works because it's a so-called independent agency. So even though it only exists to serve the State Department, if the Office of Inspector General says this is too sensitive, oversight is not allowed to know this, because if it's out of oversight, our people in Cuba will die. Our people in Pakistan will die. Our people in the Democratic Republic of Congo will die. It all has to be kept in-house. There is much more oversight of the Central Intelligence Agency than there is at USAID, which also allows people at CIA, if they can't get presidential approval, they'll work with their USAID friends. At the State Department, if you want to run a CIA operation, but you don't think you can get approval at the National Security Council, USAID isn't on the National Security Council. Just place the phone call, as you said, and you'll see these networks completely overlap at every level, and they're interchangeable jobs. You get your job at USAID by coming up either through a State Department or aid-funded NGO, or you're working as assistant secretary for Western Hemisphere, and then you'll go straight to USAID from there. Obama.
So do you see what there's reason for this context? Because now the weapons of USAID have been trained on the Trump administration. It's happening right now. And now you know. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So what is this? This is treason hiding behind humanitarian labels. That's what it is. USAID wasn't spreading democracy. It was manufacturing chaos with your money. $260 million to Soros organizations. Riots funded like summer block parties. Mike Benz exposing how they blocked their own government from investigating because exposure would literally get people killed.
You said people gonna die?
I mean, think about that. A taxpayer-funded agency so dirty that sunlight would cause casualties. Now, these same officials openly threaten a color revolution on American soil if their power gets challenged. And they're not even hiding it. Senator Schmitt has the screenshots, and the evidence is overwhelming. They turned the same weapons used to topple foreign governments against us, to topple President Trump. So here's my question. Should everyone involved in USAID's domestic operations who are involved in this, should they face treason charges? Drop a yes or no in the comments below. And Patriots, show where you stand with Next News merch. Maybe they should go to Alligator Alcatraz. What do you think? Well, we have a t-shirt for that. You can find it at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, because when your government funds revolution, resistance becomes duty. Okay. No super chats to speak of. We're at $74.98. Maybe we'll crack $100 today. That'd be sweet. Where are we at right now? Oh, yes, we are now going to our trivia answer. Let's see what that is. You guys said the answer was C, the CIA. Well, yes, you were correct. That's what I said too. The CIA orchestrated Operation Ajax in Iran and Operation PB Success in Guatemala in the 1950s. Moving right along, this next one is just as explosive as President Trump is now threatening Moscow. And there is somebody who has the hidden audio and is now leaked. We're going to play that for you in just a moment. But first, our trivia question. Which president secretly threatened nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis? Was it A, Eisenhower, B, Kennedy, C, Johnson, or D, Nixon? Well, I think the answer, you guys are going to get this right off the bat. I mean, who was president during the Cuban Missile Crisis? Which president? You guys are already saying it's B. I think you guys are going to get that one right. And there is a super chat that just came through. Thank you very much. From Tom B420, dropping $10 in the jar, helping us get closer to our goal of $100 tonight. $84.98 is where we stand. So you know what to do. But do they? Let's get to our next story. The audio is explosive and the threat is nuclear, and the timing could not be worse. Just leaked recordings reveal the president didn't just talk tough on Russia, he threatened to obliterate their capital city. Now Putin is responding with the largest drone assault in history while NATO scrambles fighter jets across Europe. The man who promised peace through strength is caught between condemning Biden's blank check to Ukraine and his own bombshell threat to turn Moscow into rubble. Is this strategic brilliance or warmongering madness? When you hear what Trump actually said behind closed doors versus what he's saying publicly now, you will understand why the Kremlin is panicking, and the stakes have never been higher. So do not look away. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever wondered what happened to legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video he made. I was shocked. He's in his 80s and still kicking butt, working out, staying active. And what's more shocking is he's stronger, work out longer, has energy left for his grandkids. He did this by making one simple change. He says he feels like he's in his 50s. His wife started doing this one thing too, feels 10 years younger, body looks leaner, energy all day. Chuck made a special video just for you explaining everything. So watch it at chuckdefense.com/next. You'll find it linked down below. It will change how you think about health. Okay, so this is explosive news that has just come out. Mario Nafal, 21 hours ago. Trump reveals Putin threat in leaked audio. We're going to bomb the shit out of Moscow. In newly surfaced fundraiser audio, Trump allegedly revealed what he told Putin and Z behind closed doors. Now this is really a massive betrayal of one of those people in that room and that fundraiser. Now, I have been to some high-dollar fundraisers for President Trump. I know the protocols that go in to those fundraisers. You have to take your phone, you have to put it in a Faraday bag, and you can carry your phone with you, but it's in a magnetically locked bag. There is no way for you to pull out your phone and record anyone. And that is why at these fundraising events, and I've heard President Trump speaking when he believes there are no cameras in the room. And it's a remarkable experience because you get to see the real Trump. Well, somebody went ahead and they brought a recording device into the room and they recorded President Trump. Now you are going to hear that audio. We're going to play it for you. CNN. Caitlin Collins broadcast it. Now, of course, CNN is going to have their own spin. Mainstream press, they will have their own spin. But after I listened to it, it dawned on me. I asked the question in the open. Is this warmongering or is this brilliance? Again, this is President Trump. Peace through strength. What you're going to hear. To stop Putin from invading Ukraine, Trump warned, if you go into Ukraine, we're going to bomb the shit out of Moscow. He made the same threat to Xi Jinping over Taiwan. Both leaders, he insists, believed him 10%, and that was enough. No war, no invasion, just deterrence by unpredictability. Now, we have the CNN version. We have a cleaned up audio version, so just pay close attention. Let's hear how CNN framed this.
Find some common ground
that he once had with President Putin. The audio obtained by the authors of a new book that is just out today. And for context, the president has long said that Putin would never have invaded Ukraine on his watch because of something he told him once privately. Trump had never revealed what that was.
I had a very strong conversation with President Putin, and he understood, and I won't go into the great details of the conversation because nobody has to know that. But I will tell you, it never, ever would have happened.
I don't want to say it, but did they fear me? I suspect they did.
Well, tonight we're learning those details as the audio reveals that Trump says that he threatened not just President Putin, but also China's President Xi Jinping. And this is what he told donors about what exactly that conversation looked like during a private fundraiser last year.
To Putin, I said, if you go in to Ukraine, we're going to bomb the shit out of Moscow. I'm telling you, I have no choice. The public wants it. The public. So he goes like, I don't believe you. I said, he said, no way. I said, way. And then he goes like, I don't believe you. But the truth is, he believed me 10%. I told you this. He believed me 10%. Then I'm with President Xi of China. But I said the same thing to them. I said, you know, if you go into Taiwan, I'm going to bomb the shit out of Beijing. He thought I was crazy. He said, Beijing? You're going to bomb Beijing? I said, I have no choice. I got to bomb them. We're going to bomb Beijing. And he didn't believe me either, except 10%. And 10% is all you need. In fact, 5% would have been okay too. And we never had a problem. We would have never had a problem.
The Trump campaign declined to comment on the content of what you just heard there, but the three deeply sourced reporters who acquired that exclusive audio are joining me now tonight. Josh Dawsey of the Wall Street Journal, Isaac Arnsdorf of the Washington Post, of course, also Tyler Pager of the Times as well, are all three the authors on the brand new book that is out today, 2024, How Trump Retook the White House and the Democrats Lost America. And Josh Dawsey, I mean, you obviously have covered Trump along with me for years now. Given the audio of what you heard the president saying about Putin then, I wonder what you made of how fed up he seemed with him today.
Well, I think what he was trying to tell the donors there, Caitlin, was that he could have deterred this. He could have stopped this. You heard him say on the campaign trail, if you reelect me, I can stop this immediately. And it's clear Vladimir Putin has not been listening to what Trump wants, right? I mean, Trump says, I've been doing all these calls, are frustrating. He unleashed a profanity as he was sort of describing what he thought of Vladimir Putin and what he was doing. But what you see in that tape is Trump behind closed doors to his richest donors in New York, telling them, you know, I had control over these guys, basically espousing the madman theory, right? They thought I was just crazy enough that maybe I would have done something if they crossed me. And I used that to basically get them to do what I wanted them to do. And I think what the frustration you're seeing now from President Trump, you know, we've reported he says Vladimir Putin has changed. He makes all of these comments in private about how he used to think he had a better relationship with Vladimir Putin. And I think Putin's just not listening to him. Putin's not listening to what Trump wants him to do.
Yeah, I mean, and Isaac, when Trump was running, and obviously that is a deep part of the book, is what the Trump campaign looked like internally, as well as the Biden and Harris campaign. But when he was running, the argument that he made to voters was, I can fix this. I can handle this. You know, Putin is scared of me and intimidated by me, as Josh mentioned there. And now here we are, that he's been in office for several months and is realizing that Putin isn't showing a lot of interest in getting the deal that Trump wants here.
Well, more often than Putin being scared of him, it was, you know, Putin was someone he had a good relationship with. And Trump has often talked about Putin as someone who could make a deal with, you know, that they could find some common ground. And a lot of Russia specialists in the U.S. national security establishment looked at that and said, you know, Putin is not interested in improving relations with the West. He wants nothing to do with the West. It just doesn't work that way. You can just give him what he wants and he's going to go home. That's not a way to resolve this war. And Trump is finding that out the hard way now that he's 6 months into past due on his promise for that war to be over. And he's clearly frustrated.
Josh, what did it say to you when...
So, those are the reporters who received the audio. Here we have Trump blaming Ukraine aid delay on Pentagon review. In a call with Zelensky, Trump denied freezing U.S. weapon shipments to Ukraine, pointing instead to a Pentagon munitions audit sparked by recent strikes on Iran. He assured Ukraine of continued support as much as we can spare. Zelensky called Trump call the most productive yet, according to the Wall Street Journal. Trump leaked audio shows he plans to bomb Russia and China. I'm telling you, I have no choice. I don't believe you, Putin says. Again, this is, I mean, at this level of world geopolitics, Trump is dropping the big stick right in front of Putin and Xi. Saying, you guys want to pull something? Even if they believe 10% is all he needs for them to believe. Here's Trump on Ukraine.
We get that was a war that should have never happened, and a lot of people are dying, and it should end. And I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin. For you want to know the truth, he's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless. That was a war that should have...
That was, of course, the moment that the CNN reporter was referring to from the cabinet meeting yesterday. Vladimir Putin calls it like it is. No U.S. president holds real power, and now even Donald Trump, once the loudmouth outsider swearing he'd bring peace, has exposed himself as a fraud. He's cheering on strikes against Iran, piling on debt like the rest, and claiming the Epstein list doesn't exist. Just another deep state sabotage, bowing to the system he pretended to fight, parroting lies while the machine pulls his strings. You clearly tell Richard's no fan. But this is what apparently Vladimir Putin has just said. Okay, I'm gonna do my best here to try to translate this for you. I've already spoken to 3 U.S. presidents. Putin says. They come and go, but politics stay the same at all times. Do you know why? Because of the powerful bureaucracy. When a person is elected, they may have some ideas. Then people with briefcases arrive well-dressed, wearing dark suits just like mine, except for the red ties, since they wear black or dark blue ones. These people start explaining how things go, and instantly everything changes. This is what happens with every administration. Changing things is not easy, and I say this without any irony. It's not someone does not want to do, but someone is hard to get things are hard to do. Take Obama, forward-thinking man, a liberal, a Democrat. Did he not pledge to shut down Guantanamo before his election? But did he? No, he did not. And may I ask why not? Did he not want to do it? He wanted to, I'm sure he did, but it did not work out. He sincerely wanted to do it, but it did not succeed since it turned out to be very complicated. This is not the main issue, however, even though it is important. Since it's hard to fathom that people have been walking in their chains for decades without trial or investigation. Can you imagine France or Russia acting this way? It's been a disaster, but it's impossible in the United States and continues to this day. This refers to the question on democracy, by the way. I refer to this example just to show you this is not as simple as it may seem. That said, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that we can and should be able to reach agreements on key issues. So that's Putin just 2 days ago. NATO jets 9 hours ago have scrambled as Putin launches the largest drone attack yet on Ukraine, just hours after Trump ripped the Russian president for his BS. Here's Mike Pompeo 5 hours ago. Damn, that Ozempic is making him look bad. He says, let's not forget President Trump was the first president to send defensive weapons to Ukraine back in his first term after the Obama administration left them high and dry. It is in America's interest to ensure that Putin does not win this war.
President Trump's, it's pretty consistent from President Trump. It's worth the world being reminded that President Trump was the first president to send defensive weapon systems to Ukraine back in his first term when President Obama had steadfastly refused to protect the Ukrainian people. It's in America's interest that Vladimir Putin not win this war. I think President Trump can see that Putin has not been acting in good faith. There's no interest in Putin conducting a ceasefire in the way the Ukrainians have agreed to. I think President Trump's decision, the statement he made last night, is the right one. This will demonstrate to Vladimir Putin that the United States is not going to force Ukraine to surrender and that he ought to come to the table and negotiate a peaceful resolution to this conflict and stop killing Ukrainian kids.
Let's keep going. We have more here. Here's President Trump.
We want to put defensive weapons because Putin is not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people. So we're sending some defensive weapons to Ukraine, and I've approved that. We want to put.
Now we have that cleaned up audio. I want to play that. I think we have that here. Oh, here we have this. Putin said that Trump is a useful idiot. This is from Blue Georgia. CNN clip, of course. Julie Rogninsky.
Sort of winning narrative. First of all, Trump is what the Russians would call a полезный дурак, which means a useful idiot in Russian.
You speak Russian?
I do. I was born there, and actually I can tell you everything there is to know about the Russian mentality. And so let me tell you about the Russian mentality right now, so as somebody who comes from the former Soviet Union. Vladimir Putin cannot afford to lose this war. Vladimir Putin cannot afford to be embarrassed in this war, because much like the czars before him, and Mikhail Gorbachev, who pulled the Russians out of Afghanistan, he understands that the collapse of his regime will be predicated on losing face in front of his people. The only way he survives as leader of the Russian Federation is if he can somehow create some sort of winning narrative for this war.
But Trump is trying to do that.
So what I'm trying to say is that
he was. I mean, I guess that's a question right now.
And the problem is this: the United States Congress, the Senate especially, by a vast margin, bipartisan margin, wants to place sanctions on Russia.
We have to.
We have
no choice.
Trump has said consistently that he will not do that. In fact, he said that. I read the Russian media to see what they're saying. In fact, they're saying that Trump is kind of saying, it's my decision, it's not theirs, and I'm not going to do it. First of all, Trump...
Where is that cleaned up audio? Okay, here's the lightly cleaned up audio. Logan Fizzle posted this. Let's listen to this one more time.
Putin said, if you go in to Ukraine, we're going to bomb the shit out of Moscow. I'm telling you, I have no choice but Republic. So he goes like, I don't believe you. He said, no way, and I said, way. And then he goes like, I don't believe you, but the truth is he believed me 10%. And I said, he believed me 10%. Well, I'm with President Xi of China. But I said the same thing to them. I said, if you go into Taiwan, I'm going to bomb the shit out of Beijing. He thought I was crazy. He said, Beijing? You're going to bomb Beijing? I said, I have no choice. I got to bomb it. We're going to bomb Beijing. And he didn't believe either except 10%. And 10% is all you need. In fact, 5% would have been okay too. And we never had a problem. We would have never had a problem.
So do you understand what he's doing here? He is telling them if they F around, they're gonna find out. And all they gotta do is believe 10%. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is the ultimate test of Trump's foreign policy evolution. The man who campaigned on ending wars is now, well, caught on tape threatening to bomb Moscow while simultaneously blaming Biden for sending too much aid to Ukraine. Putin heard the threat loud and clear, launching the biggest drone assault hours after the audio officially leaked. The Kremlin, once called Trump their useful idiot, now faces potential commander-in-chief who is promising to rain hell on Red Square. And you heard Mike Pompeo, who reminded us that Trump armed Ukraine before Biden ever did. So the threats are real, and the world is watching. So here's the question. Is Trump playing three-dimensional chess to keep enemies guessing, or has he abandoned his America First principles? I don't know. I'll tell you, I think this is the biggest peace through strength moment I think we've ever heard. So, for the comments, should Trump double down on his Moscow threat or continue to pursue peace? War or peace? Tell me below. And you can support the truth at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, because when superpowers clash, patriots prepare. Okay, we don't have any super chats to speak of at the moment. Frosty says, now we know why Lindsey Graham's in Ukraine. Of course. To the believers, have a great night. Have a fantastic night. Thank you, James. Jose says, war. Crocked letter I. What? Is this live? Yes, it is, Deb. Free Spirit, FAFO indeed. Karen, we love you. Please stop by Discord if you can. I will try. I can't make any promises, though. All right, let's get to our trivia question answer. Yes, it was Kennedy. The answer was B. Kennedy secretly prepared for nuclear war while publicly negotiating during the 1962 crisis. Wow. So our next topic is going to open your eyes about the Texas floods. You've heard about cloud seeding? Yes, people have been talking about that. We're going to get into that. What the mainstream media is now reporting. But first, our trivia question. What year did the U.S. military first admit to weather modification experiments? Was it A, 1947, B, 1953, C, 1967, or D, 1972? I'm going 1972. Nixon's treaty, United Nations treaty, I think it was, on weather modification for use during war. That's what I'm going with. 1972 with Richard Nixon. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right. You guys are saying 1947. We'll find out after this segment. 111 dead, 170 missing. Entire Texas neighborhoods swallowed by water so devastating it's visible from space. But was this really Mother Nature's fury? Because 48 hours before the floods, planes were reportedly releasing silver iodide into the Texas clouds. The same week, New Mexico's river exploded from 18 inches to 20 feet in just 30 minutes. 200-year floods happening days apart. Weather modification programs running just before disaster strikes. Bodies still floating while activists inject race politics into rescue efforts. When you see the timeline, when you connect these dots, you have to ask, are we looking at the worst coincidence in American history or something far more sinister? You decide and keep watching. Now, folks, you all know the cost of food skyrocketing, but we keep hearing about coming shortages, supply chain issues, but have you ever stopped to think about the natural food chain and the importance of our bee populations? Well, the good people at Patriot Bee Best have done extensive research about this important issue and created an educational online digest to help spread the word about challenges facing the American bee. Patriot Bee Best is a digital bee sanctuary for education, engagement, and real change. They're laser focused on restoration and preservation of the American bee populations and our republic. For less than 17 cents a day, you can support this show and bee restoration. Visit patriotbeebest.com to subscribe, donate, and support this veteran-owned business. Join the Hive today. Remember to use code NEXTNEWS. So this, I saw whispers of this a few days ago. It's now bubbling to the surface. Mainstream media now reporting a cloud seeding operation took place in Texas just 2 days before the devastating flood. A 20-minute flight released silver iodide into the atmosphere, targeting 2 cloud systems. And the clouds reportedly dissipated that same day. And despite the timing, the company's CEO, Augustus Dorico, insists the operation had nothing to do with a massive flooding that struck shortly after. Listen.
Centimeter. Times you might have seen posts or videos connecting cloud seeding to what is happening in Texas. And then earlier tonight, the CEO of a weather modification company confirmed that planes in Texas did release silver iodide into the atmosphere 2 days before the floods. But he also explained why he says scientifically it does not mean that the two events are connected. Watch this. We're talking about like sub-centimeter amounts of precipitation, be it in snow or rain from every event, which in aggregate can mean hundreds of acre feet, which is very consequential for farmers and ecosystems, but cannot come close to causing flooding unto itself. And NBC News climate reporter Chase Kane joins us now. Chase, any conspiracy always starts with like a thread of truth here. Can you explain the science? Like, what is cloud seeding, first off, and how is it being used in Texas?
Yeah, so cloud seeding is really this idea for farmers of like, hey, there's some moisture up there in the clouds. Is there a way that we can get it out of the clouds down here to the surface to help farmers? Because water vapor that's in the air needs something to grab onto, which is often like smaller than the tip of a pen. So you're thinking like pollens, particles of pollen or dust or even air pollution. So you see this graphic here. Basically what they do is they fly planes up there to give the water vapor something to grab onto. So it's a combination of silver iodide and salt, actually. And so the water vapor forms around that. Eventually it gets heavy enough and then falls to the surface of rain. So when that happens, we're talking really small amounts of rain. In fact, scientists have been debating for decades whether or not this is actually very effective to do. So even when it does work, Gotti, we're not talking about a lot of rain, certainly not the amount of rain that they saw in Texas last week.
And the timing of it, 2 days before, I mean, you know, again, anybody online that seems to be an expert these days would say, well, no, this is what, you know, started the flood or possibly like supercharged the soil so it was hydrophobic. Like, well, take us through the timeline here.
Yeah, that's a really important point, Gotti, because this cloud seeding, it works within like 15 minutes, half an hour, maybe an hour, and then that's it. So that was done 2 days before. So the CEO saying this, other scientific research establishes that cloud seeding isn't going to trigger something like this, certainly not 2 days after they were doing it. They were only up in the air cloud seeding for about 20 minutes because, again, it's targeted to a pretty small area of land, which was not even over where the worst of this flooding was, Gotti. So we're talking 30 minutes to an hour, certainly not 2 days in advance.
And I mean, cloud seeding is human-caused climate change on a very micro level. But when we're talking about climate change on the macro level, does it look like this flood has any links to climate change? Times you might have seen posts.
Yeah, we'll leave it right there. Here is satellite images show before and after the deadly Texas flooding. At least 111 dead, over 170 still missing. Satellite images show widespread flooding in Kirk County with entire neighborhoods submerged in the destruction so severe it's visible from space. Look at this. Unbelievable devastation. Before, after. Unbelievable. Before, after. Complete devastation. And of course, Stacey Abrams is back. Wesley Hunt nuking Stacey Abrams for injecting race into the Texas flood tragedy. Failed gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams tried to claim that women of color and people of color need to use their power to hold the administration accountable for the deadly flood.
And I also want to say one more thing about Stacey Abrams' ridiculous comments. You know, I've been black too my entire life. And when this incident happened, the last thing I thought about was the color of someone's skin. I thought about these American babies that lost their lives. And so she should be ashamed of herself. We must condemn it. And I welcome any Democrat that will join us on Friday to mourn the loss of the lives of these babies. And I also want to say
this is not a time for race politics, but some people believe it. Here's another one. Ever considered, this person says, ever considered that maybe that flood in Texas killing all those kids is God's divine punishment? MAGA, I effing hate you so much. Another unhinged liberal.
And the ever consider that maybe that flood in Texas killing all those kids is God's divine punishment? Y'all are killing your own kids. Killing your own kids. I hate to see it. I hate to see it for any kid, but to be honest, if you're just all killing your own kids, I'm gonna let it go, you know? But you're killing our kids too. You're killing children and you're ruining the country and the planet for our children and grandchildren for generations. I fucking hate you so much. I hate you so fucking much. Truly don't care if maggots get caught in a flood or a fire that they weren't warned about. Get what you voted for. No sympathy here. No empathy. None. Bereft of it. However, those kids in Texas were children. I don't blame them for a thing. But it doesn't escape me that had it been a camp for gay kids instead of a Christian camp, there'd be a lot of people on this app talking about how it was God's will and God sent that flood. Ever consider that maybe?
Yep, that's the mentality. Here's what. How remember that? Did you hear about this? As a Houston pediatrician, I saw this floating around social media. Dr. Christina Probst, Bluefish Pediatrics. Absolutely horrible things she said. Well, she's now been fired. Check this out.
Political end. I can't believe there's another person we have to talk about, but this is Dr. Christina Probst. Dr. Christina Probst formerly worked at Bluefish Pediatrics until very recently. She is a pediatrician, and she is yet another individual who took it upon herself to politicize the aftermath of the Kerrville flooding and do it to suit her political ends. Now, she made a post essentially saying that, you know, individuals who are MAGA.
You see this? I'm going to pause it, put it on the screen. Christina, that's her social media handle. May all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. Kerr County MAGA voted to gut FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for.
Got what they deserved, got what they voted for. Bear in mind, a lot of casualties that we saw actually were children who could not vote themselves. And the fact that you would take it upon yourself to attack them and say in some weird macabre way they got what they deserved really goes to show how morally bankrupt and rotten your soul very well may be. But this Dr. Christina Probst is a pediatrician. Her job is to take care of children. And she chooses to delineate and draw party lines based on who individuals voted for. Honestly, people who choose to do this, who are in these fields, they're doing all of us a huge service because they're helping us figure out who we need to support and who we don't need to support. The last thing I would ever want to do is find out that my pediatrician was making comments like this on social media in her spare time, because then what might that cause that person to do if they found out that I was on the right or that I was a right-wing individual? Would they try to hurt my child? You never know, because many of these people are the exact same ones who wanted to have children removed from parents who didn't comply with medical tyranny over these past few years. So how could I, in good faith, put my child in the care of someone who would be callous enough to make such a divisive, caustic statement? These are the questions a lot of parents are asking, and with very good reason. But Dr. Christina Probst, most recently, it was discovered that she no longer worked at Bluefish Pediatrics, which I would argue is actually very good news. This sort of behavior cannot, should not, and will not be tolerated anymore. And it honestly gives me hope for humanity that so many individuals, even on the left, are realizing just how far radical leftists have gone and that this cannot be allowed to continue in a polite society. Because it doesn't matter who you voted for when a natural disaster hits. Here in Texas, we deal with hurricanes pretty regularly. And the last thing you'll see an individual do is come up to someone who clearly needs help or assistance and check to see, oh, did you vote for Team Red or Team Blue before they render aid? We just help each other. That's what we do. And that's what anyone should do in America. Like, we're here in this country 20 years, barely 20 years after 9/11. And I fear that if 9/11 were to ever happen again, and God forbid it does, we would see individuals on the left far more than individuals on the right checking to see, oh, what's your party affiliation before they attempted to render aid whatsoever.
Well, I'll pause. You know why? We saw that. Remember the Western North Carolina? What happened there? Remember the FEMA aid? Don't help households that have Trump signs during the Biden administration?
Completely antithetical to a polite society, and this reality needs to end. But those are my thoughts, and I'm curious what yours might be.
Thank you for that. Continuing down the path here. Remember this one? Sadie Perkins doubled down in our comments, apparently, about the people in Texas who lost their lives in the flood, particularly the little white girls.
Hate or whatever, like I guess I'll just chit-chat in a video. I mean, I don't understand all this, extraordinary hate or whatever. Like, I get that white people are not used to people telling them and calling them out on their racism and telling them about their double standards and how you wouldn't give a damn about other children and how there's children in detention right now who y'all don't give two fucks about. There's no prayers going up for them. But we're supposed to stop the world and stop everything we're doing to go and hunt for these little missing white girls. Again, I actually have empathy, so I can put myself in other people's shoes and understand that that's pretty fucked up. But it seems like y'all don't get that. Y'all don't get that. Y'all don't have the empathy gene, for sure. It's very much lacking. And I mean, for y'all to just be on here, just straight up racism. Every comment, I wouldn't say every comment. I will say 99.9% of the comments have just been, EBT this and welfare that and you're a monkey and yada, yada, yada. Like, y'all haven't, it's been like 100 years. Y'all haven't come up with nothing new with other than the monkey shit and like.
Oh my goodness, I'm not going to give her any more airtime. She doesn't deserve it. Here is some footage from 4 days ago. A wall of water come crashing down the river. This is time-lapse footage of the Llano River, July 4th at 5:10 p.m. Check this out. Full screen it for you. Rob Dew posted this initially. Wow. Unbelievable. Look at that. Powerful wall of water, nature, devastation. Unbelievable. You see the people in the cars. Here's President Trump on the Texas flood.
Lady, I'll be going down on Friday with First Lady. We'll be taking a trip, and we don't want to get in anyone's way because that's what happens. The president goes, and everyone's around focused on. I don't want anyone to focus on us, but it's possible they could have somebody saved still. There's a lot of areas. It's a big area, and probably unlikely at this point, but there could be. I mean, they're thinking there could be the possibility, but what a tragic situation. A good job, and we'll see you on Friday. And I'll be going down on.
Trump's going down there to inspect the damage. Here's Secretary Noem providing an update.
Texas are incredibly strong. They've gone through something that is absolutely horrific. And it is heartbreaking to watch these families suffer the way that they are. As soon as this flash flooding event happened, the governor has activated his emergency responders. Nim Kidd is his emergency management director, who is incredible, and has immediately worked with the local first responders to get help to individuals and get them evacuated. Put requests into me. We deployed, sir, right away, as you know, because you and I were talking a lot during this time, the Coast Guard. We also had some assets out of Customs Border Protection. Our BORTAC teams went in and helped with rescues and clearing debris so that we could get roads open and people get the help that they need. I think when I got there the most, sir, that day, as soon as I arrived on site, was getting a briefing from all the emergency responders, was just how unified they were in focusing on the fact that we're there to save lives. They were there to rescue people, find people who were still alive, and to reunify them with their family members. We as a federal government don't manage these disasters. The state does. We come in and support them, and that's exactly what we did here in this situation. FEMA went to an enhanced level immediately, but as soon as you signed the major disaster declaration, we were able to get them resources and dollars right away, just like you envisioned, through state block grants to help them with cleanup. And we're still there in presence, and FEMA's been deployed, and we're cutting through the paperwork of the old FEMA, streamlining it much like your vision of how FEMA should operate, and it's been a much better response to help these families get through this terrible situation. We still are looking for people. We're still looking for a lot of little girls and other family members that were camping along that river, and they will continue until they find every single person, and we will continue to help them and assist in that. I was surprised when I got there at the camp that day, right after this happened, the parents that were there, the parents that were looking for their children and picking up their daughter's stuffed animals out of the mud and finding their daughter's shoe that might be laying in the cabin, and just hugging and comforting people matters a lot. I'm extremely grateful for God's hand in that whole situation, because hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were saved. And this is a time for all of us in this country to remember that we were created to serve each other. God created us to take care of each other. And that when we do that, we are happier, we are more fulfilled, and we can walk alongside people on their worst day and help them get through it and come out the other side, knowing that we can continue to live a life that God has purposed for us. So they're grateful.
Amen. Amen. Moving into what happened, there was video we saw last night. New Mexico. What the heck is going on in New Mexico? Shocking footage emerged at the exact moment flash flooding began in Ruidoso, New Mexico. Another catastrophic flood event unfolding Tuesday evening, New Mexico. The Ruidoso River in New Mexico rose by 20 feet in less than an hour, shattering a record. Videos coming in, breaking of homes floating down the river. Several inches of rain. Look at this. Mexico. Here's Right Angle News. Homes completely flooded as water levels near the river New Mexico surged 20 feet in 30 minutes. Massive flooding event in New Mexico. Large structure can be seen being swept down the river. Look at that. An entire house floating down the river. Oh my goodness. Pray for these people, my friends. Pray for them all. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is either the most tragic coincidence in American history or proof that playing God with weather has deadly consequences. Cloud seeding confirmed 2 days before biblical flooding. Two 200-year disasters in 1 week. Satellite images showing devastation while officials stay silent about those planes in the sky. And while families search for loved ones, Race hustlers mock dead children based on skin color. Houston board members getting fired for celebrating white girls getting swept away. And Stacey Abrams making it about race while bodies float downstream. This is not about weather. It's about accountability for those who tamper with nature and those who exploit tragedy. Did weather modification cause these floods? Yes or no? I want your verdict in the comments. Remember, you can support independent journalism at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com because whether it's natural or engineered, we deserve the truth about what killed our people. Okay, let's see. We got some super chats. Thank you, guys. Let's see here from our Boyd. Show Gary some love. Smash that like, share the stream, and super chat your thoughts. Yeah, that's what the super chat's for, guys. I mean, come on. This is your show as much as it is mine. And your super chats enhance the show. Remember that. Faranger Xbox, but one cow fart destroys half the atmosphere. Yeah. Yeah, isn't that right? $2 for sure. Thank you for that. All right. Let's see. We have something else here from Craig. France reporting for duty. Nebraska's not allowed. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for that, Craig. Appreciate it. We're $96.98. We're almost at 100. We're almost there. Like, just $3.02 away. Who is going to put us over the top? And we do have a new member. Stale Hansen just became a member. Welcome to the family. Okay, we're going to check in with the main feeds right now. This is 7 minutes ago, just posted. Secretary Duffy was tagged in the post by Rapid Response 47 7 minutes ago. President Trump. I'm pleased to announce I'm directing our great Treasury Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, to be interim administrator of NASA. Wow. Sean is doing a tremendous job in handling our country's transportation affairs, including creating a state-of-the-art air traffic control system, while at the same time rebuilding our roads and bridges, making them efficient and beautiful again. He'll be a fantastic leader of the ever more important space agency, even if only for a short period of time. Congratulations and thank you, Sean. Wow, Sean Duffy, now interim head of NASA. Videos that will make your day. The worst marriage proposal in history. Yeah. That can't be real. That can't be real. Come on. Should we go through this thread, guys? Maybe we will. 7 minutes ago, President Trump posting on Truth Social. I'm announcing a 50% tariff on copper, effective August 1st, 2025, after receiving a robust national security assessment. Copper is necessary for semiconductors, aircraft, ships, ammunition, data centers, lithium-ion batteries, radar systems, missile defense, blah, 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 blah. Copper is second most used material by the Department of Defense. Why did our foolish and sleepy leaders decimate this important industry? 50% tariff will reverse the Biden administration's thoughtless behavior and stupidity. America, once again, build a dominant copper industry. This is, after all, our golden age. All right. Okay, so let's see. Videos that will make your day. Shall we make your day? Okay, let's make your day. So this is the worst marriage proposal in history. I'm afraid of what we're going to see here. This will always be funny.
Cute. How cute. What the fuck do you think you're doing? Oh, how cute. How cute. What the fuck do you think you're doing?
Oh, how goodness. Where is the slim feed? There we go. When Jim Carrey gave the most Jim Carrey interview of all time.
Fashion Weeks, this is the first time I've run into Jim Carrey. Yes.
What?
I've covered a lot of Fashion Weeks. This is the first time I've run into Jim Carrey. Wait, tell me, is it true you're wandering the streets? You need a date to the party? What's up?
No. I'm doing just fine. I just, there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join. and here I am.
They're
I
celebrating.
mean, you got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons,
in
boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist, but there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You
don't. Argentina's goalkeeper kisses Messi during an interview.
Me preocupaba el hecho de hacer gol o no.
Ew.
We have to do play. We can't. We only practice it once. It won't work. It will work. We just gotta believe.
It's go time, ladies.
Hey, this is awesome. You guys are dressed like Jumanji. Look what I got. Oh, I got king-size candies for you guys.
Happy Halloween!
All right, bye, guys.
Trick or treat.
Why are you dressed like that?
Because it's my costume. All you gotta do is go to the costume store and say, make me look stupid.
Don't stand like that.
Bro,
That's not how I stand. I didn't stand like that. I stand Look, what do you want?
The kids say you giving out the good stuff.
I am giving out the good stuff. I'm not giving it to you.
I said trick or treat.
Okay. You want some candy?
Yes.
Oh, hey, you want the king-size candy?
Yeah.
No, you don't get that at all. Here's what you get. It's bite-sized, tiny, mini, like you.
I don't want that.
Put this in your fanny pack.
Maybe next year you don't try to save money on your decorations around here. Hey, kids! Dwayne The Rock Johnson is giving out raisins and pennies. This sucks.
Okay.
Stupid house.
Okay. Hey, Kevin!
All right. I think I totally skipped the... Did I totally skip the... I did. Didn't I? Did I skip the trivia answer? I did, didn't I, Brian? Let's go to it. Trivia answer. The answer was, you guys said A, 1947. 1947, Project Cirrus began cloud seeding experiments, later admitting to hurricane modification attempts. Wow. 1947, and you guys got that right. Right on. Tommy 420 dropping $5 in the jar. Thank you, Tom B. Enhance this, he says. Chris or Bernier, $10. Thank you for the super sticker. Character jumping in the air, joyfully saying yippee. All right, $10 for that. Appreciate. Ms. Pothead Kenny dropping $5. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless Gary and Angie and Brian and Todd and Thomas and Brett. And 3 family for life Yeppers. All love from me and Pothead Kenny. Love you. Thank you. Okay. Well, that is our show tonight. And Patriots, what a day and what a time to be alive and fighting for truth in America. We started with Elon Musk dropping the nuclear option, claiming he's seen the list, the Epstein files that supposedly don't exist, with both Bannon and Trump's names on it. The billionaire tech titan versus the America First warrior tearing each other apart, while we're left wondering who's lying, who's compromised, and why won't they just release the damn files? The FBI says they don't exist. Musk says he's seen them. Someone's lying, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Then we expose the ultimate fraud, the Autopen presidency, 4 years of fake signatures, shadow governance, and constitutional violations. Biden's own doctor pleading the fifth rather than confirm the president's mental capacity. Only one real signature in 4 years? Every pardon, every executive order, potentially null and void. Neera Tanden and her unelected cabal running America with a rubber stamp. Well, the supposed leader of the free world couldn't find his own podium. This is not incompetence, it's illegitimacy on a scale that makes Watergate look like jaywalking. Then we pulled back the curtain on USAID, your tax dollars funding global chaos. $260 million to Soros networks, riots organized like company picnics, congressional oversight blocked because exposure would literally kill people.
You said people gonna die?
Even the CIA locked out. Now the same operatives openly threaten color revolution on American soil if their power gets checked. They're not even pretending anymore. The agency meant to help the world has been weaponized against us. The Trump-Putin chess match exploded with leaked audio of threats to bomb Moscow while simultaneously criticizing Ukraine aid. NATO jets scrambling as Putin launches his biggest assault yet. The contradictions stack up, but one thing's crystal clear. This isn't Obama's weak foreign policy or Biden's. Whether it's strategic ambiguity or policy chaos, the world's on edge and the nuclear clock is ticking. And perhaps most disturbing, the Texas and New Mexico flood catastrophes, cloud seeding operations 48 hours before disaster, rivers rising 20 feet in 30 minutes, 2-century floods in 1 week. Over 100 dead while race baiters exploit tragedy. Was it nature or something darker? And the evidence points to questions that demand answers. And so everyone who sent in super chats tonight, Christine, who just dropped $5. Thank you so much, Christine. Mrs. Pothead Kenny, Chris, Tom B for 20. Everybody who contributed to the show tonight, thank you. You guys are the backbone of this movement. Your support, your passion, your refusal to accept the official narrative, that's what keeps truth alive. So tell a friend about the show. Text it, share it, shout it from the rooftops. Visit our merch shop, shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, and wear your resistance proudly. This is Gary Franchi reminding you that in an empire of lies, truth is treason. Tomorrow evening, I will be with the governor of Arkansas. How cool is that? But don't worry, we'll get a show in the can for you. So we'll see you next time on the Raw Feed. Stay vigilant, patriots, and stay free.